Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to this evening's live stream where we got a bit of a Black Friday special for you all going on tonight. We're going to be taking a look at a few different things. During the stream, we will do a look at Bitcoin, we'll take a look at some futures markets, and we'll be looking at altcoins. We'll be taking a look at the platform, and of course, we'll be talking with some special guests on the stream as well as some of the chart champions coaches. So yeah, it's going to be. It's been a very long time actually since we've done public live stream here for you all. So I hope you're looking forward to it. This could be a Black Friday gift for everybody. Of course, we're just coming off of Thanksgiving as well, so I hope that you all had a good one if you celebrate that. And it's a good time for us to come together and show you some interesting things on the charts and off of the charts, right? So tonight we have some guests that will be joining us from the community as well as the coaches. So first of all, I'll bring in Ash, who is going to be joining us first of all to go through some things on the platform. So let me just try and load this up correctly here. And you should be able to see myself and the other coaches now on the screen from our webcams. So yeah, hello everybody, and hello Ash.
Hello, and hello everybody as well. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's the spirit of Thanksgiving. I know it's Black Friday today. It seems pretty manic in the retail space, but markets tend to go quieter just to the lack of liquidity. So this is, as you said, it's a good opportunity to give a little guidance back, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not. It's a nice break in that moment of the markets where we can start prepping for the year ahead rather than waiting for 2024 to come and see people doing all the guesswork. Is the market's going to go for a bull run? They're going to go for a bear cycle? We're going to take some time today to actually do a bit of forecasting and see how it's looking for us. And the great thing is we've got a wide range of skill set on this panel. We have Rivalry, strong futures and prop firm trader. Severin, also strong futures trader, but an absolute wizard with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and altcoins. So I'm sure people have seen him being, promoted and showboated on our socials. And you guys really need to get a good insight of what these guys can do. And maybe it'll change your thinking about, how you're going to change your way of approaching the markets in the future. At least that's what we hope. Because there is a good system that you can start to adopt. And yes, it does start with risk management, but these guys have the knowledge that you guys need to get yourselves on the right path. So yes, Black Friday, true. First sale we've ever done. And most of it was directed towards our long-term loyal members. So it's important for us to give thanks to them for supporting us, for choosing us to guide them through their trading education over the years. There's been a lot of evolution, not just through ourselves and our platform, but what you see with their own results. We've seen a member recently today who said he's now on the path with the foundation of exiting corporate America, which again, really, really humbling to see at this time of year. And I really wish that person all the best, especially as a champion member. I do believe that they've got the right skill set behind them, and they've obviously put in the legwork to get there. So. You know who you are if you're watching this. Much respect to you, and I hope you have all the success in the future. Let's get into the platform, though. As you can see, if you're on the dashboard right now, Daniel, so I'm just looking at one screen.
Yes, I'm on it.
What you'll see here is night and day difference compared to what you would have seen last year and the year before. But, there's a whole design here to be very interactive with the user. When you see basically on the top panel, you'll have the most recent trading lesson that we've released, and you'll notice that it's part of a series. You can even go into that lesson. There'll be a Q&A attached to it because there's always a follow-up Q&A every week to each lesson that we do. But the dashboard now is really designed to just get people into the platform, into the learning curve. What we've obviously wanted to do for the best part of a year is to take people away from the chatter and the noise in the trading space. And that chatter and noise tends to revolve more around the crypto trading space than anywhere else. The culture in the crypto trading space is very, very different to that which you'd find in futures and stocks, because they're a lot more structured in their approach and with their trading systems. So what you'll see on our trading platform, let's say you're on the dashboard now, and you've got your recent live trading for the week. You've got your altcoin update from Severin himself for the week. and so on. Below that, you also have your continue course or progress section. This is where you'll be basically collecting progress on any lessons that you've studied to let you know how far along in your trading journey that you are. But more importantly, below that is the stream schedule. The stream schedule is important because, again, this is what would help someone build a system in terms of a routine for approaching trading or even learning trading. You can look at it now and you can see that our upcoming stream, Champions Live Stream 233, that means we've done 233 champion streams to date this Sunday. And then we have our daily update, which we host every day, Monday to Friday. Now, we've made some enhancements to this feature. Before, it just used to be covering Bitcoin, and that was it. Now we cover Bitcoin, the ES futures market, occasionally the NASDAQ if there's volatility opportunities there, and basically anything that's significant, because I know that even Severin will sometimes look at the NASDAQ and Apple in those daily updates. And again, this is something you guys are going to learn later on in the stream, is that individual stocks such as Apple can have a huge influence over the market. And over the market, I mean the SPX and just the futures in general. But also, if it has an effect there, then that's going to have an indirect effect on the Bitcoin market as well, because time and time again, we've seen correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market. So just put a pin in that mentally now and remember to come back to it later when Severin's talking about this. But moving on from there, Daniel, if you wouldn't mind just bringing up on our courses section the new editions of the contender sessions. Just to show something, for example, like failed auctions. Very, very simple strategy, very easy to understand, even easier to apply once you know what to look for on a chart. And a strategy as simple as that, you can learn it in as little as 15 minutes. And that's no exaggeration. You can even show the timestamp or the duration on the time bar just to prove the point there. Trading doesn't have to be a headache when you're learning. Now, the mountain of information, surely, yeah, it's overwhelming to look at. It really is. But if you decide from the get-go what kind of trader you're going to be, what time of day you're going to look to trade, and more importantly, which asset are you going to trade? You can't be trying to figure out, I'm going to trade 10 different altcoins and Bitcoin. Spread yourself too thin. But if you can get that criteria nailed down, then you can start to look at the lessons you're going to study and handpick them. And so if you're in a position where you're day trading, swing trading, it wouldn't take you very long. Give yourself a good, generous 6-month learning curve to get it nailed down, to get practice in. That's fair. And if you can do those lessons in bite-sized chunks of 15 minutes, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't at the end of the day. I don't think you could get it done any shorter without losing information. And I think there's a good risk to reward incentive there, in my opinion. Also, we have the addition of the trading journal, if you don't mind bringing that up as well. And again, journaling, we have one coach in here right now who's very, very big, in particular in collecting his stats and journaling statistics, and that's Severin. He even takes time out on his weekends to review his previous trading week, which I think is very, very impressive to do so. And those of you that have been with us for a long time, you will obviously know Igor. Igor, again, legendary trader, but all his trading experience and results have been built on journaling and statistics, because you need to know what you're doing works. You need to know that you've got evidence to give you confidence to take those trades ahead. And if you've collected enough of it and you can see a recurring pattern, that's the only way you're going to get your confidence. The reason why we've put in the journal, and I'll be the first to admit, by the way, there are far more enhanced journals out there. There really are. Some of them are absolutely amazing, from TradeZeller, I believe. And I think there was another one I saw recently advertised, which, again, great. But as a champion member, as a contender member, you get this all included. So you don't actually have to go out your way to spend more to buy a journal, to buy the features for it. And our journal actually builds statistics such as your win rate, your risk rate. All it requires you to do is input the data. Be conscious of the trade you're making, you're planning. You can even choose your confluence that you're adding to it, And once you've done that, you can start to build a trading plan, and then you can start to build a trading review of said plan. Now, whether it wins or loses, different story. But if you make a start on collecting data, eventually that data is going to be the very thing that will give you direction in your trading approach. And even if it means changing it completely, at least you know what you were previously doing can be eliminated as incorrect, and you can start anew and start building the right way. But the common thing is, in this era of information, is the currency of attention. A lot of people do not want to spare it for such tasks such as inputting data, because people find it tedious. It's the same as inputting spreadsheets, and I get that. However, cold hard truth is, if you want to be a consistent trader, you need a consistent audit trail of your results. So you have to record them. Got to go through that boring work, or as they call it, the unsexy work, to get those glamorous results. It's just how it is in life. Everyone knows hard work prevails. This is part of it. And then finally, the newest feature that I would like for us to showcase is the trading leaderboard, which we've recently partnered up with Bybit to introduce this. And I believe we're on our third month now. And the trading leaderboard is just a good way for our champion members, once they've established themselves as a consistent trader, they're well risk managed, they can come together and just have a bit of friendly competition, compete for the top spots every month. And it gives them a bit of recognition from not just us as a team, but the entire community, to showcase their work and show that it's paid off. And that's just something that we do month in, month out. Again, we occasionally give a little gift, such as a piece of Chart Champions t-shirt kit, as you can see. Again, it's just our way of acknowledging the member who wins, to say, you know what, you now represent Chart Champions and what we stand for because of your trading results. But more in all, it's done in a responsible manner. We're not looking for people to try and replicate World Series of Trading results. We're looking for people to show us, this is the place where you can show us that you are now strategized with a well risk managed formula. You have your entries, you have your invalidation, you know how to manage your trade, and you can prove it by doing it in scenarios such as this. It is only on the cryptocurrency market, but again, we don't need everyone to prove it. If they're an ES trader, futures trader, we're not looking to have them all come on board and do this. It's just a bit of fun, but it's fun that keeps the edge sharp, which is a win-win in my opinion. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight from our platform, from our side, Daniel?
I suppose in terms of what I feel has been the biggest thing, as you mentioned, from obviously we've received lots of feedback over the years, and yes, some of it took us a while to implement, but we have implemented pretty much every bit of feedback that we've received from the members. And one of the biggest ones was our videos used to last too long. When I first started doing the videos years ago now, I could go on for that video 2-3 hours, and although there was a lot of information pumped into those videos, over time, and the more we've learned and improved, it come clear to us that actually the best way of producing content and for the learning experience is this 15-minute mark. So having redone, we're working now on redoing all our old videos, and still producing new content, new strategies, all at this 15-minute mark. I feel is like a big improvement of our service. But overall I think like you're saying, like the journal, the competitions that we're running, having it all just in this one place that everyone can go to is just I feel it is the best platform. It's almost like we're leading the space in terms of innovation too. We're the first to do a lot of things, and down the road other people will clock onto that and do the same. But we're very proud of being the first to do this in the crypto space, and I think we're only going to improve into 2024 too. Nothing else to add in terms of the platform.
I mean, I would even like to mention that from myself and the team, we took it upon us to even take a scientific approach to how people learn. I won't go into the details of that on stream because that's a whole other conversation in itself. But the reason the lessons now are are set out in such a way is done from a scientific approach, where we've got enough evidence in the real world from conclusive studies from all over the world as well, multiple universities, that show that the way we now bring the learning to the customer is the most effective way that we can do it with the information that we have, with the time that we have, and with the platform that we have. And that's obviously paid off because, as Daniel said, we've had a lot of feedback over the years. We've taken as much of it into account as we can, and where it's pragmatic and we can see that it's going to pay dividends to the customer, we've transformed it into a working result on the platform. But interestingly as well, just from my own observation, this year alone, we have seen the highest turnover in full-time traders as part of the transformation. And it's not necessarily just in the crypto market. If anything, we're seeing it more and more in the futures market. That is an emerging market. There is a lot of lessons to be learned around that. But there are some very simplified strategies that are just making it such a lucrative opportunity. For traders that are out there that, if you're just fixated on Bitcoin and it's not going too well for you, I would say come inside, take a look at the strategies that Eagle, Severin, Rivalry have put together for the futures market and see what our members are actually doing with it, because that's the more important part there is, in our ES channel alone, in our Discord server, you are seeing people trading it live when the market opens, commentating on it, sharing their results, sharing their P&L. And again, this is the exception. I have to be clear. This is the exception, not the rule. But I've seen someone turn it around from, I don't want to mention their name just for their own privacy, but they're more towards the east of the world. I saw someone go from May this year to August this year, where they basically set aside trading crypto and became more, I guess you could say, of an investor or holder for Bitcoin, and then focus on just trading the ES futures market. And just because they already had that knowledge of TA from learning how to trade Bitcoin, but it wasn't organized in a constructive manner, they then started to apply that with the strategies that both Rivalry and Severin laid out for their scalping strategies on the futures market, applied it to that, and instant turnaround. So you have to consider your options when you're in the trading space. If it's not working out for you on one asset, why get attached to it? Don't get emotionally attached and invested to an asset. And even if you're investing in an asset, the emotional attachment is the worst thing you could possibly have, because you have to accept that when you invest in something, now you've committed to risk. If you commit into risk, there's only one risk: you could lose it all. That's part of playing the game of investing in trading, is you have to accept that risk. So the emotion is the last thing you want, because if you set out a plan, even an investment plan, let's say it's 5 years down the line, your price target hasn't been hit, but you've committed to be out in 5 years. But the only thing that would stop you doing that is the emotion. Unless there's concrete, hard data in front of you that says this is guaranteed to go up if you wait a month later, which, let's face it, that's never going to happen. So the only thing that's left keeping you in an asset or in a losing streak is usually your emotions and your mentality. And you can easily shift that if you're willing to be a bit more open-minded. So you don't have to give up trading an asset, but what I would say is come on board, have a look at what's available, because there is a whole different set of financial markets out there, and each one of them have their own opportunity. And maybe consider that, depending on where you live in the world, your time zones might not align with the market volatility in their opportunities. And so you might want to consider something that's more aligned with you, that can provide you more convenience and more stability in your lifestyle of trading. That's all I'll say on that, until we bring some people on later. I guess before we go ahead, we're going to bring in Severin. And Severin is one of our newest coaches who joined earlier this year. He's also a former Chart Champions member, and we brought him on board February this year. He's hit the ground running. Straight out the gates, he wanted to share his strategies with our customers and our members. Not only that, he's wanted to share his results, his trading ideas, and again, going back to being versatile and being open to trading different markets. This man here is the textbook definition of how you should be approaching that. And before we put you to work, Sev, I just want to ask you to share a little bit from your journey. When did you actually join Chart Champions?
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us in this live stream. So, I joined Chart Champions, I would say 3 years ago. So I was actually already trading before I joined Chart Champions, but you couldn't really call it trading with the system. So I would say I learned all of everything about real trading I learned within CC. And I was really, I love trading, so I really found my passion, and that's why I decided to really go full time. And I always try to connect with people within CC. So what I like about Chart Champions, it's not only that we provide, in my opinion, the best education out there, but also the community feeling. So I always was struggling to find people that motivate me, or try people who have the same mindset and who approach the same goals and have the same visions as myself. So once I attended the first CC meetup, which was in San Diego, it was if I'm not mistaken, it was 2022. But from then on, I decided I'm going to be at every CC meetup there's going to be, because that is the type of people I want to surround myself with. And those are the type of people that really can push me towards achieving my goals. And fast forward.
Just ask, in 2022 San Diego, was you already a full-time trader then?
Yeah, I was.
You was, okay. And so, because I remember you and I have obviously we're part of the team, so we do that a lot, but I remember you saying that you were still working full-time even when you met the criteria and the conditions to become a full-time trader. You still chose to carry on working full-time for a certain period, correct?
Yes, so I learned about trading when I was still in university. So I studied management and economics, and besides that, I was working for PwC. And that is when I did both at the same time. So I was working for PwC and I was studying, and at the same time I was trying to trade. So it was a very busy schedule, to be honest. So I had very long days and was trying to fit all into my day. And when, at a certain point, my trading surpassed my day job, that is when I decided to go full time.
Okay. And when you were, what was the turning point what made you make that decision, I guess, is where I'm alluding to, because you were working full time and obviously you went through the studying trading while working full time, which in itself, that's additional work. And then you become a full-time trader. So what was it was it a confidence thing where you thought, I'm making more than enough now as a full-time trader to sustain myself, so I'm just going to go into this? Or was it more of a thing where you're looking at the balance of life, the quality of life? Because obviously you're willing to sacrifice a guaranteed salary, in all fairness, to then go into full-time trading. So what was the decision point there for you?
So for me personally, it was approaching trading as a business. So what I was always looking for when I was studying and then looking into potential career paths I wanted to take, I was also thinking, so if I had chosen the PwC career, for example, I was always looking for a leverage. So let's say at PwC, I wanted to make double the income. For me, that would have meant I would need to work double. So I would spend double the amount of time to be able to earn double my income. And with trading, I really found this leverage that, let's say you trade with 1,000 euros, or if you trade with 1 million euros, you're going to press the same button. And the time you need to be able to make double amount of money, or even 10x the amount of money you make, it's going to be the same time you spend on that. So that for me was the leverage that was really attractive for me. And it was then really viewing trading as a business, because when I started out, I had a lot of people saying, trading is this get rich quick scheme. But I was always trying to approach this from a different perspective and say trading is actually not different to any other business. So let's say you set up a business, whatever you're going to do, you provide a service, for example. It's not that you're going to start out by having a lot of customers or that you make a lot of revenue in the first place. So it takes time, and it's the same with trading. No one expects from you making a lot of money in the beginning. So it's really going through these stages and acknowledging and also appreciating the process you're going through. So from making some losses, then eventually turning break even, and then starting to make your first profits. But that's going to take time, and that's nothing you should rush yourself for. So
I do like the way you put that. I mean, I've said it myself, so I'm in full agreement there. Igor has also echoed the same thing. You know, for years, we both agreed with the mantra of, you have to treat trading like a business. You may even have to set out, as I've said to our own members, set out goals. Even if you're not trading yet with capital on the line, then set out your goals for learning as a business would. How much are you going to expect to accomplish within a certain time period, maybe for the month, for the quarter, just to keep yourself on track. It's a real benefit to treat it that seriously. Because if you don't, then why would the markets treat you seriously? They won't. They're ruthless. They will absolutely destroy you at any chance they get. I also did want us to just briefly touch on when you and I first met and we spoke. I asked you, what was your preferred style of trading? I remember you said that scalping. Well, you have many fortes, in my opinion. After watching you as a trader, I would say that your strength is equal across the board. But I know that you prefer to scalp trade, and I remember you saying that you made an adaptation of Igor's CCTR strategy. What was that like when you were learning? So obviously, Daniel was the original and only coach at Chart Champions, and then more were introduced over time. Was there a turning point that made you go into scalping, or was it just you like the fast paced because some people like the adrenaline and the rush, or was it you found that your brain is more wired and directed towards scalping? Was it a moment, I guess, where you was watching Igor's scalp strategies and you're like, yeah, okay, that works for me and it clicks better than the others? How does that dynamic work?
Okay, so for me, it was like this. So before I even started trading, I was always keen on investing. So when I think it was when I graduated school, I was always keen on investing my money because I thought, looking at inflation and stuff, I was always interested in stocks and investing my money. And when I then really learned about trading and tapped my toes into trading and then actually acknowledged this as a real career path I could take, I always thought I want to keep myself busy. So let's say I was swing trading or doing the investment style I did before. I was like, yeah, that's not really like an occupation. So I wanted to keep myself busy and I really wanted to have exposure to the market. So for me, it was always like this, where if I want to become good at something, I need exposure to trading in this example, in this instance, okay? So I really thought that if I was swing trading, I would maybe take one trade a week. And if I'm scalp trading, I could have just a much quicker learning curve, right? So while a swing trader takes one trade a week, I was taking maybe 40 to 50 trades a week. And that was, in my opinion, really helping me to speed up the process. And when I then found out about all of these scalping strategies I was seeing within CC, that was when I decided that's the path I want to take. So, yeah.
Well, I have to give you credit where it's due because you're still versatile. Even though, like you said, you want skin in the game constantly and you want to be doing something, you're still able to adapt to long-term strategies, swing day trade strategies, as we've seen, as our members have seen. Before you and I even met, Daniel spoke very highly of you. I remember him saying to me, Severin is an amazing trader. I didn't even know who you were. And I was like, okay, I need to keep an eye on this guy. And other members, one member of our champions group who's joined us later, I remember him telling me personally that he even learned things from you. And, that obviously goes a long way when your reputation is already ahead of you. And I think on that note, instead of talking about it, let's show the people what you're working with, and let's see the magic in action.
Yeah, all right. So I think I'm going to share my screen real quick. So let's see. You should be able to see TradingView now, is that correct?
Yes, we see it, yes.
All right, perfect. So first of all, about myself, I would say, so I not only trade crypto, okay? So I personally started out with trading Bitcoin only. But nowadays, I would say my scalp trading and most of my scalping takes place on the ES and Nasdaq. So that's the futures markets. Okay. Besides that, I do trade Bitcoin and the altcoins as well. So when I look at altcoins and Bitcoin, I'm more focused on the swing trades or the day trades, but it's not very often that I scalp trade these assets. That obviously has to do with liquidity and opportunities in the market. But when we look at some of these altcoins, okay, that's just to show how powerful this is. So, and that is something I want to tell you as well. So before you decide to become a full-time trader, you obviously want to know what type of trader you want to be. And also, if this is not something you want to pursue as full-time, there are also some opportunities out there which require less time. So this, for example, on altcoins. So I think it was in May that we brought up this altcoin stream I'm doing every week. And for me, it takes about 2 hours a week to prepare my setups for the week ahead. And now I want to show you a couple of setups that I shared recently with the members and show you how powerful this is. Because in my opinion, this or trading altcoins in general can be pretty beneficial if you, for example, don't have as much time as some of us do who are trading the ES or Nasdaq. So if you say still work a day job or something, trading altcoins can actually be quite lucrative. So before we begin, I have a very strict approach on trading altcoins. So I always like to look at Bitcoin, which is the largest crypto out there, so largest coin out there. Then I look at Ethereum, which is always giving me a heads up on the smaller cap altcoins, okay? But just from the looks of it, so what I really like about trading altcoins is that I like to apply a very simple and straightforward analysis. And with that, I was able to call every major pivot on this Ethereum chart since we brought up this altcoin live stream. So when we look at this, one of the setups I shared with the community was this. And when we look at this, the TA is actually pretty simple. So I was looking at this previous range, pulling a classical fixed range pull, using that in confluence with the CC and an anchored VWAP to give this exact low right here. Now, it's one thing to identify these confluences. I think where most people struggle is to then be confident enough to pull the trigger, right? So when we look at this price action right here, we can see that was quite a large drop to the downside. So if we measure this, that's let's call it 14% move to the downside. Some people get scared and some even try to short this move down here. But this is where it then comes to your professionalism and say, no, that is a great buying opportunity. The only thing I need is my entry confirmation. That is obviously something I taught in my altcoin strategy, which is a 3-part series. Okay, so that was the long setup I gave. And our aim was to reverse this long trade into a predefined short trade. And when we quickly look at this, that is how it played out. So we identified a nice level of resistance, which was lining up with the liquidity grab we can see here. And that led to a very big drop to the downside. So if we measured this, that was actually till hitting the target, almost a 20% move to the downside. And what I would say what's unique about my style of trading these altcoins is that I, identify a confluence area, but I always like to identify a reference level. Okay, so you could say, so we can hide a couple of things to make it even more visible. So let's say one was trying to trade this SFP level. You can see that would have been a successful trade. But I personally always like to look for reference levels which show me a sign of weakness or a sign of strength. Because what I've seen many times is something like this. We get this SFP, we backtest our previous resistance, and then continue this move to the upside. Because that was a fairly impulsive move to the upside. Right? But I always wait for my reference levels to be lost as well, and then enter my short trade. But that is something I'm obviously teaching within CC, and I teach in my altcoin strategy. Okay, but from bringing this long trade into the perfect short trade, we then had another nice long trade, which was this. So I was looking at this as a very high time frame channel, right? If we anchor this from here to here, we can see we had a perfect respect of the channel. And we can see the tools I'm utilizing here aren't that difficult. So I'm not using order flow too much. I like to use candle closes as my entry confirmation. And here we can see we had a perfect liquidity grab into the middle of the channel. We had the close above, and that was my long trade entry. So again, only applying very straightforward and simple analysis to be able to call every major pivot on this chart. Okay? And if we look at what's coming up next, so actually we have quite some interesting movements on these altcoins recently. So we can see just from this trade down here, we had a 40% move to the upside. Okay, so that's really interesting. And what I would like to draw your attention to is this. So I was looking at this all-time high range. And we can see that we found, or after losing this value area low, we found some resistance on the first backtest. Price was struggling to hold above the old value area low here. We had another rejection, and now price is trying to regain acceptance into this old value area low. Okay, so for me, this is going to be a very interesting, or this is going to be very interesting to see what happens here. We still have 2 more days to go to close inside this old value area low. And then we would actually regain acceptance into this previous fixed range pull, which would obviously open the doors for more upside to come. There is obviously going to be resistance along the way, looking at this point of control, but just from looking at this structure right here, in my opinion, you want to keep an eye on this old point of control. Because claiming this could actually mean a lot of upside potential. Okay.
Can I just ask, Severin, for our
Yeah, for sure.
members, for the public watching who aren't members, and I'm just obviously doing this to play devil's advocate for the public. So let's say we close the month within this reclaimed value area range. Would you expect high probability for the point of control to be tested?
Yes. And that is something we can, so that is something Rivalry is probably going to talk about on the futures market. But what that means is if we get acceptance into this previous value area low, if we look for a value area rotation, we could actually look even for a move all the way up to this old value area high. But in my opinion, I always like to combine these strategies and always also look at market structure. And what I'm seeing here is a nice pattern I'm seeing across the altcoins. So here we had support, support, support. And that is now, or might turn into resistance. So claiming the value area low for me personally is not enough. I am keeping an eye on this zone, being this old point of control, lining up with these previous support zones here.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. For everyone watching, you should have your charts out and you should have this level marked. Again, this is not financial advice, but in terms of reference and back testing to build evidence and statistics, have these levels marked on your chart while they're here in front of you.
Yep. So that's going to be a great level. And then I can already see, so if this is reclaimed and we would approach this old value area high, that's going to be an amazing opportunity. But I'm going to update that if we approach it. So if we just look at some larger cap altcoins, so as I said, I like to look at Bitcoin first, then build my bias on Ethereum, and then look at some individual coins. And there's this one bread and butter setup I really like on these altcoins, and that is I always start on my higher time frames, look at horizontal levels, bring up another fixed range pull, look at liquidity, and that is where the magic really happens. So when we look at this, we can see we hit my box of confluence here, being a high time frame weekly, being the point of control, and that was lining up with the that is actually a theory Igor taught with the community of looking at unfinished highs. So whenever we have a structure of lower highs, that is what we like to refer to as unfinished high structure. And that on the altcoins in confluence with the high time frame level, such as a weekly, leads to some pretty solid respect. We can see the same here on ARB, for example, and that is something where I would like to showcase how I utilize my reference levels, okay? So when seeing this monthly, for example, I was again seeing the same pattern occur here. So when we look at this, that for me was just an unfinished high structure again. So if we zoom into this, and again, I'm staying on the daily time frame, so that is for my swing trades. Very simple analysis. It's only two things. I'm looking at a high time frame level and an SFP. Okay, it's always important to also look at the location in the chart. So here I can eyeball, that's probably a 7.75. But what I was using here was this monthly level as my reference level. So although we took this SFP, I wanted to prevent myself from something happening like taking the SFP, backtesting the monthly into support, and then simply continuing higher, because that was a fairly impulsive move to the upside, right? So I like to spot these reference levels, keep them on my chart, although they were already tapped here, and only if we lose it and backtest it into resistance, that is when I like to take my short trade, which obviously is a bit of a conservative approach, but that's what's giving me the best results. Again, another setup on this strategy is here on RDNT, and I personally have no idea about what these coins do, what their use case is, to be honest with you, so I only look at the chart. And again, we had a nice monthly level lining up with the previous range point of control. That again was lining up with the 7.5, so I like to use this fib as to draw a conclusion of where price is in terms of price location. Okay, so if we look at this in terms of the risk to reward, that for me is very acceptable. Okay, if we look at these as 4 quarters, for example, that is 1 quarter risk, and we have a potential of 3 quarters reward. Okay, so that gives me a very solid risk to reward. And yeah, that is how I come to these setups. Very simple. If I do take some day trades on these altcoins, that's when I utilize order flow as well. But I would say, if you say to yourself, yeah, I just don't want to use order flow, that's too complicated for me, in my opinion, trading altcoins without order flow is absolutely fine. Okay, it is possible. And there's one more thing I want to show you, and that is bringing all of this together, and that is something we can look at for the future. So that is a setup I gave for the champions already, okay? And that is on Link. Okay, I've been trading Link for a couple of years now. I was actually enjoying trading this. And it's the same theory here. So we can actually go on a weekly time frame and look at a previous range. Okay, here we had this all-time high range. And then we can see we had support, 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 support. We lost it and had a big move to the downside. We formed a new range down here. And now is actually the first time we are revisiting this old value area low. So what I was identifying here was that this is lining up with a nice monthly level. I also have a nice reference level, being this SFP. So that is our local high. So we front ran this nice zone of resistance. And for me, that is definitely something I want to look at. And if we get the reaction here into the monthly, we close below this reference level, that is when I am interested in taking this trade, and I would even aim to take this trade as a swing trade. Now it's really dependent on context to see if I see strength on Bitcoin or on Ethereum. And that decides on which entry strategy I'm going to utilize, okay? So for me, I'm looking at candle closes, I'm looking at market structure changes, and that refers to confirmed market structure changes, but also CCW retests. And that is something once we approach that level, I'm definitely going to update on which entry type I'm going to utilize here.
Fantastic. That's, again, for everyone watching, this is an example of a trading plan and a trading idea that Severin will formulate. Now, obviously, within the platform, he can spend more time doing that. He can also elaborate on the techniques being used to form that plan in the first place. But more importantly, you can actually learn to replicate this for yourself, because those very lessons, those very techniques are all available within the platform. For example, the swing failure pattern, as most people know, even outside of the Chart Champions community, It's a very popular method of entry for us when we're taking trades. We now, thanks to Daniel, have the swing failure 2.0 strategy, which again provides much more enhancement where you can really narrow down the details to, because again, with these kind of entries, it's very easy to confuse them and think that they're everywhere. But with the swing failure 2.0, this is a way of being able to truly identify if what you're seeing is actually a swing failure pattern and give you the conviction to enter from there. So have to obviously reaffirm, it's not financial advice. This is a trading idea. If you are a new trader, or better put, you are trying to learn to trade, you should look at putting this data together on your chart, seeing if the price action respects it. Because if it does, then you know that these are techniques that you can then look to use to add them to your arsenal and to your skill set, which will develop you as a trader in the future. Before we move on, Severin, is there anything else that you wanted to say, or is there anything else that you wanted to give in terms of advice to the people watching?
So that's all I wanted to show. The only advice I would give is that if you decide on learning how to trade, really give yourself time. And what I was always thinking about in the beginning was so when you're new to trading, all you hear is about the statistic that 95% of traders lose money. What I always thought to myself is that 95% of these traders who lose money are people who are quitting. Okay, so these people give up on trading, they give it a shot for 6 months, and then they quit. So I would say if you approach it with the right mindset, and if you approach it with the right risk management from the beginning on, and that means you don't have to risk your own money. So there are possibilities out there to learn on demo, which is a great advantage in my opinion. You can learn on demo, approach it with the right mindset, never give up, prepare yourself of a career. That's going to be difficult in the beginning. But if you really put in the effort and put in the time, that is life-changing in my opinion. So I can strongly recommend it if you are willing to do whatever it takes. So I think it comes down to discipline, hard work, dedication, and passion. So you obviously want to enjoy what you're doing. So that is what I want to say.
Thank you. That was actually beautiful and really supportive. I hope it does reach the right ears in the crypto and just the trading space overall. But to summarize for everyone watching, there you have it. You have the Ethereum high time frame, what we're looking at, what we're expecting to see. And because it's high time frame, consider that this is something that we would expect to run into maybe the course of the end of the year, maybe even going to next year. But if you have the levels, just by rewatching the stream and mark them on your chart, then at least you can keep track of that. And as an added benefit and bonus, you also have the idea of what we would be looking at thanks to Severin on Link. Again, there should be no reason for anyone to rush in and just try and trade this, but use this as a way to start looking at the markets and the charts with purpose. Because instead of doing it on a whim, as Severin said, if you do things on a whim, you will become part of that 95%. Start moving forward with purpose, start putting things in order. Altcoins, as you've seen, you can do it in a very, very simple manner that don't even require order flow. Again, that will make your trading life a lot more simplified. Order flow is not bad. It's actually very, very good. It's very useful. It will give you an edge over the rest of the market. But for those just getting started, simple tools. Swing failure pattern, fixed range profile, failed auctions. Simple strategies like that can be utilized. And again, as you know, you can find them all on board Chart Champions platform. We won't go too much into that right now because we do want to move on and bring on our guests. But if you want to get started, take advantage of the Black Friday offer that we have. It will be ending Monday just before midnight. So Cyber Monday close, Black Friday sale will close too. But you can basically secure your position with the discounted rate, and you can get your head down and get stuck in learning. And who knows, this time next year, maybe you'll be at the next Chart Champions Christmas events, and we'll be celebrating your success as well. Moving swiftly on, I want to get ready to bring our guest on. Is there any words that you wanted to reaffirm there, Daniel?
No, I think overall, Sorry, that's what happens when I sit here not speaking. Yeah, no, I think what I've well, ever since I met Severin, I just could tell that he's going to be a really good trader. I could tell from the way he spoke and like the passion and his mindset and it's just I think it's really nice how it all worked out from meeting him as just like a member in the meetup to now working alongside him. I feel it's it was like it was meant to be. So yeah, I think what I take away from Severin is just if you have like the right mindset and the goals and like the like he said, like he decided he wanted to go to then every chart champions meetup because he wanted to surround himself with the right people. And for a fairly young person to have that like mindset is really rare. I think most people are wasting a lot of their time while they're young, and to see someone that's so dedicated and passionate about trading to really take that step and so much time dedicated to learning to trade and then trading is really good show of a real life example of you really can make it if you properly put your mind to it with the right mindset and community. Everything that you want is possible.
That's a good point. I do forget often how old Severin is or how young he is, right? Just because of the amount of maturity that he shows. Not just in how he, because obviously you need a high level of emotional intelligence and responsibility to trade, but his work ethic overall, honestly, and I don't just say this to shill the platform. His work ethic, the way he produces lessons, when he comes to me with ideas, yeah, look, from a business perspective, I can't do anything but appreciate and admire that, because it's not just a great help for me and Daniel, it benefits our members in return for it. True asset, if there ever was one. Severin, thank you, and I'm glad you're a part of the team at Chart Champions.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, I'm really happy to be part of the team.
All right, then, before we keep getting sentimental and emotional, let's bring on our first guest. This gentleman has been a champion member for as long as I can remember, and I think he's had the pleasure from learning from every single coach, and is now in his own right a full-time trader living a very well-balanced life last time he and I spoke. So I would like to bring on board our very own Scott, who is currently across the pond and no doubt still recovering from Thanksgiving dinner. But Scott, thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Hey, wonderful, wonderful. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you're with us as well. I'm glad that you've been a member with us for so long, because we've got to see, you and I also learning alongside each other at one point, I'm sure, and also then meeting properly last year and getting to hear about, the journey going into success, the end goal, and where it's going now. And I do also remember you saying that you had gained a lot of input, obviously Daniel from day one when he was a lone coach, but you've adopted from Igor, even learnt and picked up a few things from Severin before he was a coach. And now we see you trading alongside Rivalry in the day-to-day. I mean, we've seen you go from trading different assets. So just tell the folks, what is it you're actually primarily trading today, where you started trading, and why you've changed in terms of how you transitioned from asset to asset?
More than happy to. And yes, I've been lucky to come up alongside these wonderful coaches and yourself. And, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, just wanted to take a moment and express some personal gratitude for you all. I'm very thankful, especially this year, now that I'm really ingratiated into full-time trading, for a community of like-minded individuals to share ideas and to share, not only the good times, but the hard times as well. So a bit about my background. My whole life has almost been leading me up to trading, ever since I was a bag boy at the grocery store, to when I became a lifeguard, to when I got a degree in risk management from the University of Georgia. It's everything has kind of led me up until this point. And I spent 5 years actually in the corporate world in insurance. and really realized that that life wasn't for me, and that I didn't get to dictate the terms of my own time. And so a few years into that venture, I started looking for a way out. And a lot of things on YouTube were popping up at the time. Some familiar names that aren't even around anymore, actually are not even relevant. And I stumbled across a video of Daniel, and I realized that everybody else I'd been listening to was just noise, and that there was an actual way to get educated about trading, a way to be sophisticated about it, and a way to be, frankly, professional about it. And so around 2.5 years ago, I joined Chart Champions, and that was just before I had left my corporate job. And for 6 months, while I was preparing to leave my role at my old job, I actually buckled down, watched all of the modules, and spent some time doing the $1 trade challenge, all the way up until building a career, and the next year actually full-time trading. So I started off as an investor, I think, as a lot of us do, having some fun making money over the last bull run of the last decade. But essentially, where I started to become more serious about it was when I learned about long-term investing in cryptocurrency, so swing trading. And that's how I kind of cut my teeth. For the first year of full-time trading, I was essentially trading swing and long-term day trades on Bybit. And from there, I not only learned the amazing benefits that one can reap during the bull market, but I also learned about some of the pain that one can experience during the bear market. And so over the last year, I've actually decided to change my trading style and branch out more into stocks and the indexes. And so over the last year, I've spent a lot of time honing my personal habits, my processes, all to be optimized for professional trading. And so that's sort of the short process, but the short answer. But yeah, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay. So is it safe to say now you are primarily focused on futures and prop firm trading?
Absolutely. I try to take a holistic perspective as well. I have a long-term portfolio where I actually invest and buy long-term positions and can hedge myself on the short-term and long-term basis. And then I have a short-term portfolio as well, where I trade my personal funds, and I'm also a funded trader with several different proprietary trading firms.
And are you finding that if you was to say, let's say, start from zero again, would you, this time knowing everything you know and the results you've had so far, where would you say you would go? Would you start with crypto again? Would you go straight to prop firms? Where would, let's say, you can eventually add it all in at the end, but where would you start if you was to do it all again?
If I was to go back from day one, I think I would start out on a simulated account, for one thing, not risking any savings or personal money, because that can actually trip you up a lot. But I'd say, whatever is interesting to you. For me, I was extremely interested in cryptocurrency, still am, will always be a long-term investor in that, but have since begun to think more of a cash flow basis. And for me, trading the equities with a lot larger markets and keeping a thumb on different stocks in the indexes in particular, I found that I'm able to generate a bit more cash flow for myself that way. However, if I were to start all over again, I think the best place would be to wherever you're most interested, and then find somewhere where you can simulate, trading and demo trade before you actually put any real capital on the line. Because a lot of times when we're just starting out, we think we know a lot more than we do, and it ends up being that you have to learn the hard way.
That's a good point, actually. Because you do need a level of interest to want to pursue something in the first place, rather than feel like you have to drag yourself along for it. I would have to agree with that personally. Myself as a trader, the reason I choose to trade the SPX and just a small few stocks over cryptocurrency. I know I've obviously traded DOT recently, as the members have seen, but that's literally a one-off. It is, I guess, I'm interested in that because it's convenience. So it does go hand in hand. But I think that's also a good message. People have to be interested in the asset for the people watching who are new to learning trading, because in the crypto Twitter space and just the trading Twitter space in general, it's very easy for people to just literally jump on a bandwagon because someone says this is guaranteed to go up, or I'm on board with this coin, and an army forms behind a certain token or asset, and everyone just piles in. I mean, we saw it with GameStop, AMC, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, and even this Pepe or something like that, the other meme token. There's so many of them out there that, let's face it, people aren't really interested in those. They're interested in the prospect of making money from them. But I think, if you do the homework, as you said, and you learn the assets, you learn to trade the asset, or at least then you can truly develop a genuine interest and then work hand in hand with that asset. Might be a lot.
One comment, if I might.
Sure, please.
On that topic, my first year of full-time trading, I cast a wide net. I was scalping crypto a little bit. I was long-term trading crypto. I was in BTC, ETH. I probably had 20 different altcoins that were in my portfolio. And I thought, here I go. I'm loading up my bags for the next run. But it ends up being too much. And so I would say one piece of advice, if I've learned anything over the last 2 years, is to when you're just starting out, pick a lane. It doesn't matter what lane you pick, but pick a lane and stay in it and find others who are in the lane alongside you. For example, Severin, Igor, and Daniel, who have been in the lane for a while and can show you the way. So that's just one little comment I wanted to say.
Nice. No, I think that's good because, again, altcoins, this is something for people to take in of as well. Going back to Severin, these are trades. These aren't bags that we're looking to hold. And I do see a lot of people ask, "Hey, what about this altcoin? You analyze this person a bag of that coin for potentially a year longer." And altcoins tend to be a flash in the pan. Like, they might have a tremendous bull cycle during a bull market, so that's a space of usually a year. But then when it's done, those one-off superstar shots that they have, they don't tend to come back around again. It's usually something else to take its place, and there's another mania, another and another. I do think diversifying is good, but with real assets. Let's just put it that way. I don't think it's good to qualify altcoins as real assets to diversify into. You could argue the case of diversifying between Bitcoin and Ethereum, but even then, that's still uncharted territory in my opinion. The trading experience that I have, at least. Before we just wrap up with you, Scott, I did want to ask, what, in terms of learning trading strategies, which actually became a turning point from you? Was it, something from one of the coaches? Was it outside of one of the coaches? What was like a real turning point where it's a lot easier with hindsight. I know when you're in the midst of it, you don't feel the turning point as you do with anything, but can you look back and recall like a moment or, a strategy where it actually clicked and turned something for you where you started to see momentum afterwards?
Yes, and it actually happens quite frequently. And I think one of the turning points for me was, and just taking a step back here, just like Severin, I actually had dedicated myself to wanting to go to each CC meetup so that I could surround myself with like-minded individuals who were really serious about trading, serious enough to come to a Chart Champions meetup. And ever since then, I've created a wonderful network of some of my best friends who I talk with, if not weekly, daily, in Chart Champions. And through them and the hard times that they have helped me through, whether that's, taking a big loss. I wanted to say thank you to Rivalry because I had a terrible loss at one point in my career, and I reached out to Rivalry because I didn't know who else to speak to. And he recommended the book Atomic Habits, and I would highly recommend that book myself. And I just wanted to, also say thank you, Rivalry. You put my head back on straight, and look at where we've come now. So it's been quite an amazing process. And I think one thing I heard from Daniel a long time ago in one of the early streams was that each day is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself or to become a better trader. And so I try to go in each day with that mindset. And of course, every day is not a good day, but the days that are good are great because of the community, and the days that are bad are not so bad because of others who are helpful in the community. So, in terms of one strategy that I would say that's helped me a lot, it's been thinking in terms of probabilities, really looking at the market and your own trades in terms of probabilities and taking away not exactly the emotional attachment, the emotional response that you may have to the risk that you're putting on. So truly accepting the risk of each trade before you put it on. And that goes in with understanding your trading plan. And then thinking in terms of probabilities. And I'm a poker player, so I like to think of when I'm in a trade, as the trade is developing, how are my odds? Are my, with the next move of price action, are my odds increasing or are my odds decreasing? And in the wise words of Kenny Rogers, you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. So that would be my 2 cents.
That's great. I mean, now that you've outed yourself as a poker player, you'll have to join us at a virtual table. Severin and Daniel had a very close head-to-head last time we played, which was on the flag, was very fun. We'll have to get you there. But yeah, I just want to give you credit where it shows. People may have seen Scott on Twitter, and rightfully so, you displayed a very, very handsome P&L statement, I remember, a couple of weeks back, if I remember correctly. And I remember seeing someone comment, was that a 10-week, or how did you make that a 10K week? Is that, am I on the right track there? Am I remembering the right tweet?
Yes, yeah, and it's been pretty amazing, some of the feedback I've gotten, people really curious to know how I've got to the point, and not just on Twitter, but in my personal life. Many of my friends have actually become members of Chart Champions and are on the path as well. And so it's been kind of a transformative community for myself, not only a group of friends, but some people who I actually consider family members. So I wanted to, not to get overly grateful, but soft spot in my heart for Chart Champions. So thank you all very much.
Oh, well, obviously that goes without saying, we appreciate that and thank you. But back to the 10K, that's more importantly, the 10K week. That's a big deal, considering what the average US salary is close to 45K a year, if I'm doing the statistics correctly, if I'm remembering them correctly. Imagine that. So is it safe to say you've had a 10K week? Is there a consistency where you're having not necessarily 10K weeks every week, but you're noticing that you're on this same path where it could be anywhere between 5 and 10K weeks?
It's happened consistently for months, and I actually had to take a step back from trading and take a vacation because I had gotten to all of the sort of the goals that I had wanted to get to this year, and it's not to say that they're very lofty goals, but it's been nice, and I will say that I've actually since have scaled back my trading in terms of taking off risk, just because the market's a little bit unpredictable for me right now. It's just a little bit harder to read maybe around the holidays. And that's been good, just getting some practice in. And for me, I try not to look at the P&L until the very end of the day. And one thing that has actually really helped tremendously is I screen record all of my trades and I watch them back at 5x speed at the end of the day. And that allows me to see price action develop and how I traded it. And in a few minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how long I traded that day, you're able to get a recap of what all opportunities were there, how well you capitalized on them or not so well capitalized on them, and how to improve going forward. So that's another strategy that I would say has really helped me improve, is not only journaling, but replaying my trades and watching price action over and over to really not think about so much the P&L, but think about, am I taking a good risk trade? How much am I risking to make the desired profit? And if that's a good trade-off for me, that's the trade I'll take every day. The part that's becoming easier for me now, as I've gotten more into a business mindset about it, is being able to let go of feeling like I missed out on any trades, because there's so many opportunities that come and go. You'd be shocked. I mean, especially in the index markets, it's pretty amazing.
Yes. I mean, I like that you're doing your own trade recaps, essentially. I mean, that is actually a feature that we have for both contenders and champion members. Is look, the coaches obviously can't live trade 24/7, but they do record a lot of their trades. Just like Scott has said, he leaves it screen recorded. So what they can do is provide teachable moments with real working examples to the community to show how they went about planning the trade, how they executed, and more importantly, why, and then how they managed the trade from literally start to finish. And again, it just shows where people are putting in the work and where there's a correlation to results. Because let's face it, the average 95% trader isn't going to be doing that. And again, they can't define themselves as a trader if they're not making them from full-time trading. So, you do it. The fact that you decided to take a vacation because you achieved those goals and trading goals, you know what? It clearly shows it was well-deserved, Scott. You definitely deserve it. And just on the note, to go back to the whole 10K week and the consistency you've had, just for the people that are interested, was that done trading your own portfolio? Was that done through proprietary firms and prop firms? What was it that built up, or was it the accumulation combined between prop firms and your own portfolio that made you that 10K week?
So I actually have a little bit of a strategy there. I will start trading for the day on my prop account so that I'm not risking my own capital. As if I'm not sure, I'll send out some feeler trades. And if I am on the right side of the market and I can feel, okay, now market structure is trying to change, now we're getting a retest, now we've reclaimed the level, whatever it might be, then I will go ahead and put a trade on with my personal account, and I'll add size and use the prop firms to add size, being fairly conservative on my personal accounts, just because that's how I like to do it. So.
Okay. And then just one final question.
Absolutely.
For new beginners who are completely green on the scene, would you say prop firms is a good place to start, or should they start in just the overall realm of trading assets with just virtual demo funds? Where would you say to go from their first step of paper trading and learning? Would you say prop firms is a good way for people to get in to have that cash flow, or would you say go back to where you're interested? What would be your take there?
Really great question. And I think, it depends on how much skin in the game you would like. If like you guys had mentioned earlier, sometimes in a simulated environment, it's almost not, and after you've done it for a little while, you start to add on positions that are way bigger than you'd ever trade in a real market. So it almost gets to be a bit just like a video game. And for me, I love trading demo. It brings me confidence. It brings me joy. I have a lot of fun. I've had some crazy, 6-figure days trading demo, but that's beside the point. I think if you're looking at trading and you have a risk tolerance and you feel bad losing your own personal money, I'd say start on a demo account. And here's the thing: if you decide to put up a small monthly fee or whatever it is for a prop firm, then you're still on a simulated account. So you got to realize, most prop firms, most folks in prop firms are trading on the simulated servers. And so if you think about it that way, you're really just getting the practice as long as you get in the trades, and as long as you're thinking about it in a systematic way, and as long as you don't get fooled by using leverage, thinking, oh, I'm a 7-figure trader because I can use 10x or 100x leverage. That is a quick way to lose all your money. And you don't, the longevity is the name of the game. And so I'd say look at holistically what your goals are. Do you want to build a personal account? Do you want to build a long-term investment account? Or do you want to be a scalper, and do you want to sort of be in and out in the action like a lot of the prop traders are? So I'd say, there are so many options out there. You cannot go wrong with starting on a demo trading portfolio, and even, some small trades on of your own capital to see how it feels to get that sort of live trading environment, because it changes when you put risk on, and as you grow as a trader, the psychology changes. And so whatever helps you to become confident in your personal trading strategy, I say that you can't go wrong with.
I appreciate that. I mean, look, it's good food for thought, and you've highlighted the risk there. I've even seen people in the comments, the chat, saying you can get wrecked on both trading and prop firms if you don't manage your risk, and that's a fair point. I've also, Moondream, one of our beloved champions, also is in favor of screen recording. So really, really great to see there. Scott, I want to thank you for joining us and just sharing a bit of your insight, what's worked for you, how you've approached it. I'm sure I could guess if I was to say, if someone wanted to learn about prop trading, is it fair to say you would point at Rivalry?
And scalping in general, he is the Scout Master Extraordinaire 5000. So Mr. Paolo is the man.
Great to hear. Well, look, Thanks for coming on. I'm really glad that you've had the success you've had so far, and seeing as you're on this momentous train, you're going to keep it going, no doubt. Looking forward to seeing you again in person in the near future. I know, but I'm sure the Chart Champions community as well are also grateful for the insights that you've shared and just the experiences that you've had to learn from. So they in turn get to learn from it vicariously through you, rather than going through trial and error. That's one of the benefits of having someone like you in the community. So we really are grateful.
I'm grateful for you all too, and I hope to see everyone in Dubai.
Thanks, Scott, man, and hope to see you soon. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Scott's one of our long-standing members, gone through all the markets by the sounds of it, but has nailed it down, put in the work, dividends paid off, and also given credence to the coaches where it's due: Severin, Eagle, Daniel, and Rivalry, the guy we're bringing on next. And I have to say, I'm looking in the live chat here, Daniel. I don't know if you've seen that. You have a very keen fan, happy, waiting for Daniel. I only came here for Daniel. There's no denying Daniel's greatness, but I have to say, Mr. Fibonacci, don't let your ignorance be bliss that goes back into ignorance. You've literally been able to get a heads up on where we expect the altcoin market to go. It's going to go hand in hand with what Rivalry is about to show us, and then in turn will go hand in hand with what Daniel will show you at the end. Good things come to those who wait. That's all I'll say on that note there. Daniel's always in demand. He is. Is there anything you wanted to share about Scott that you may know, Dan, that I don't?
Yeah, I mean, everything I know, you probably know as well. But I mean, I for the people that don't know Scott, obviously I met him as well in some Chart Champions meetups, and yeah, he's another really good guy. And I won't disclose too much about his personal story because not everyone he's gonna want to know about it. But he's for me, I was really inspired by his personal story. Gone through some hard times and really come out of it really strong and in a really positive place. So it just goes to show that everybody in life is going to go through really, really, really tough times, and it's not those tough times that define you, but it's how you come out of it at the end. So I would just say in general, when people are going through bad things, look towards, you use that tough time to think about your goals and what you want to work towards, and and you put yourself in a positive mindset, and that is really a big key feature of successful people, that their mindset.
I like that point about how you come out at the end, and I really like it right now because it's very relatable to something Rivalry shared with us, and I'm sure he won't mind sharing with us. In that note, I think it's good to introduce Rivalry if you're ready to go.
I'm ready. Let's do this, man. I'm excited.
Gentlemen, this is a true story, by the way. But we all met Rivalry in person at our Christmas event last year, and he openly told people on stage about going through that struggle of in that moment of, I guess you could say, darkness and emotion, but also how he came out the other end. Is it okay to share a little about the loss that you was going through at the time, Rivalry?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important also for not just for transparency purposes, but if you're going to choose the path of a trader and, even this lifestyle in general. I know that in YouTube, they like to flash all the Lamborghinis and the lifestyle, like with all these meetups. But in reality, there's a lot of it that you will have to learn how to lose really well. Like if you don't know how to lose really well, you're not going to make it. I know when crypto was booming, right? Like it still is, obviously, still a very young asset that we'll get into. But like 2020 during COVID, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but during the pandemic, you could literally just close your eyes, hit buy, and you'd be like making money. Like you won't need any analysis whatsoever. It was just such a crazy market because you could go into a lot of different things regardless of whether it be all the money printing or whatnot. But that kind of set I guess a false sense of security as an investor. I thought it was like the greatest trader in the world. I was like, Daniel, I don't need him. I'm great. Like, I'm making so much money. And then, out of nowhere, you just completely get bodied and you don't know why. I know for myself, when I first started trading, I've been trading for many years, but nothing with clear, I guess, analysis. Is very, very, very subjective. I would look at your basic supply and demand zones, and it would be at the wrong time frame sometimes, or I'll be too fixated on a certain time frame, not recognizing a higher time frame. And I know, especially for myself, I was able to gain a lot of capital through the blind long market, and I know it was during the Ukraine crisis. I was not paying attention. I was in a long position and I got absolutely wrecked. Like, it was roughly about $1 million. And not on top of that, I also was invested in a lot of cryptocurrency assets. And I had, I think, 700,000 in Voyager. And you guys all know, if you're very familiar, most of you guys are all crypto guys. I lost that too. I lost some at Celsius, and I lost some at what was the other exchange? Celsius had about 75,000, and then what was the other one? I forget the other one, because that was only about a couple grand. But I was not aware of that whole mess, so to speak. I know most people are going to say, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, it should have been, not your coins, not your crypto, type of thing." And you get caught up in that whole space. And you get caught up in the whole euphoria, the whole culture. And to that note, I started, asking myself, hey, is this really what I wanted to do? Because I already transitioned as a full-time trader. And I just received my first 1-2 KO punch. Like, is it time to get up? There's the 10 count, 10 counts coming, man. You're at it's 7, 8. Am I getting up? And that's when I really asked myself if is this what it's going to be? But as an American, we all know, if you are from America, the regulation in crypto, it's like a gray area. So this is when I started transitioning into the futures market, where I know, this is unpopular opinion. It's more my opinion. It's more of the gentleman market. But so yeah, now I'm trading mainly the futures market. I still invest in BTC. It's only primarily BTC. I do trade altcoins with the help with the Chart Champions community, and that's one of the benefits of joining Chart Champions. Like, for instance, myself, Severin, I know, always joke around, he does all the setups, and I'm like, bro, I'm limited right here. You shouldn't follow that step, though. I'm not trying to advertise that whatsoever, but when you have somebody as talented as Severin, the risk is there. So when you saw his tool, you're accepting that risk, and a lot of people don't realize that. I just actually read a comment on the chat, and it kind of brings me back to how I was, because somebody, I don't know who it was, he posted, on a bull market, even you won't get liquidated even with a 25% drop. I'm like, bro, 25%, you would let yourself go that red? That's insane.
Exactly.
That's somebody that doesn't want to lose, that is, I'm sorry, bro, don't do that. But
But that goes back to learning to lose well, as you said, because if you're learning to lose well, you're willing to have a stop loss set within a risk managed area, not hoping on a wing and a prayer, which, the other thing I also want to mention there is, while you have said that you're more directed to futures, we've seen firsthand how you're, again, like Severin, adapting into other markets. I still remember, I think it was our first roundtable with you and Severin on, where you showed high time frame range rotations being respected by Bitcoin. And while we're moving through that, I know it's getting late for some people as well. So, and I know some people are getting very, very hungry and thirsty for the analysis. But as Scott said, you are a scalp sniper extraordinaire. But can we show these guys a bit of your work in action on the high time frame of maybe the SPX, the ES? Have you got anything that you're willing to put into work there for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
And again, for the folks watching, I know a lot of you that come onto our channel very keen for the Bitcoin insights. But as we've said, and you've heard us say before, you have to be on lookout for the correlations between the legacy markets leading the Bitcoin market. This is why following what Rivalry is about to do will really help you in the future.
So I'm just waiting until, just let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it now. Yep, all good.
Perfect. So there's a good amount of people watching here, so I'm just going to get straight to the point, right? So we teach obviously technical analysis, right? And there's a lot of that going on. Like you could literally just search technical analysis on YouTube and you'll just get all these different kinds of things. Hey, you'll have this model that's perfect, or you'll have this model that's perfect. I approach trading very simply to where if I can't explain it or understand it, I don't want to learn it. So I actually said to one of the guys on there that I'll talk about smart money concepts a little bit as well, but you can't really explain it. So even though I still do use some of those concepts as well, I like to use everything in collaboration. And I've always been, and anyone that knows me at Chart Champions really well, I have always been a proponent of, if it makes you money, keep doing it. I don't care if you're reading moon cycles, reading astrology, trend lines. I don't care. If it makes you money, it makes you money. Because I actually knows a really great trader personally. All they do is trade trend lines. I have no idea how this person makes money, but they make money. And it boils down to the risk management, right? So for me, what I love about the traditional market, okay, is that it has the highest liquidity. A lot of people don't understand that. And I actually had to learn that. And it was very, very interesting because, when people said, oh, Bitcoin just broke $1 trillion, that's amazing. In terms of market cap, I think the highest where the cryptocurrency in general, as far as market cap, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know the exact amounts. It's a little over 2 trillion, right? But the New York Stock Exchange is literally hovering over 20 trillion. That's a double digit with a T. Okay. So Bitcoin right now is anywhere between 700, 800 billion, maybe, if that. So it's a baby market. So for people the various influencers speaking on the fact that, hey, you're early. You're absolutely right. You are early. But in order to be, to believe in an asset, you really have to truly risk the fact that it will get regulated. Yeah, we could talk about spot ETFs, all like that, all you want. But in reality, it's such a baby market. But so when you come into the futures market, and I know Ash was talking about the rotations on Bitcoin, all trading is just value rotations, right? And people will ask, well, what is value rotations? Value rotations really, it means that it either rotates through price or through volume / time through data. Because when you look at a chart like this, right, something like this, and people will be like, oh, this is, supply, this is demand, so it goes up, this is supply, so it comes down. Yeah, that's the basics of supply and demand, right? Kind of very similar to what Severin was showing you through that point of control where there was that SR flip, kind of like a supply demand zone where it was previous demand that caused the push up. And then as it retested that area, you lost it, so that demand was no longer there, right? That's just the basics of economics, right? You market participants between buyers and sellers. As long as there's transaction in that area, there's demand, so it comes up. And if the supply is high, it drops down, right? Very simple. But how do you correlate this to actual data? Because like I said earlier, I'm not a person that will enter or do analysis on a chart without actually recognizing what I'm looking at. And I know there's a few people here that trade fair value gaps, that few people here that trade head and shoulders, trend lines. But do you guys even understand that? And to be fair, I don't care what other influencers say. It's not run by an algo. I'll say that right now because I know millionaire, billionaire traders. They ain't run by an algo. It's just all these guys against each other. Everyone's liquidity. Everyone is against everyone. It's a dog-eat-dog world. It ain't institutions versus retail. It ain't all that jazz, right? This is all about taking liquidity, right? And making money, right? And protecting yourself. So very, very simply, what a value rotation is you take horizontal price action, and how do you calculate this through actual data? The easiest way through TradingView here would just be a fixed range profile. Everyone knows what that is, right? But do they actually understand what that is? So you take a fixed range profile. Let's just pull this data right here, okay? This is basically stating that the horizontal price action between this point to this point is calculated vertically, okay? And this area right here is what you call the value area, right? This is actually concepts of auction market theory and profile rotations, okay? This is very, very old school stuff, but people don't actually understand what it means. So basically the data that's pulled from this area, so all the data from here and through here, this is 100% of the data, right? 100%. Between the two blue lines is the 70%, right? There's your value area low, value area high. And then the point of control obviously is the highest point of where data is transacted. So this is where quote unquote fair value is being bought in terms of volume, okay? In terms of volume. So in terms of price, however, right? In terms of price, because you can't see the actual data vertically, you will localize it through, okay, it looks like this is an area of supply, right? And that supply was resistance, because as we lost it, we backtested it, came down, resistance, until you claimed it. That right there is an SR flip, right? So in terms of price action, that's what you call your supply being flipped to demand, okay? What was once supply gets flipped to demand, which is why you're now searching for where supply was being transacted historically. So you look to the left right here, that's where that's at. So if you combine both theories in general, and that's how the way I trade, right? I like to look at the charts analytically, and I have to say to myself, why is it doing this? I can't just say, oh, I marked the level. Oh, I drew a random fib extension. Oh, there's a fair value gap there. You see the reaction, it's the algo. I don't like that, okay? I like to look at the actual data. I want to know why it's happening, and let's just see if that theory proves into effect right here, right now. So if you look at why I like the CME market, which is like the indexes, it's very simple, right? It trades weekly, right? It's a weekly, there's a close on Friday, opens back on Sunday, at least for me, right? It might be a different time zone for you guys. I live on the West Coast in America, so it opens for 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Sunday for me, and then closes at 1500, which is 3 p.m. on Friday, right? So it goes in a week. So that's what you call your historical price action on a weekly basis. So if you look at, what I've done here is I've marked the levels based on data through just the historical price action through this entire drop. This is all weekly timeframes, right? So I already obviously marked here as they're washed because price action has completely cut through it. But how can you tell, like, where price is going? How do you determine a bias? Because most people down here are probably shorting, okay? Because in terms of also value rotations, we also add in footprint data, right? Some people will be like, what the heck is footprint data? Footprint data is basically the actual orders that are being executed, and that's more lower time frame. But in order for us to determine a bias of where price is going, all value does is that if it starts to create an imbalance from breaking previous balance, it's going to search for new balance. And they're like, what the heck do you mean? So let's go ahead and do that very easily. So as you move down in price action, this is where the week closed. The following week opened right here, right? So you're looking at historical price action. And historical price action, you're looking at for this entire week, okay? This is where true value was traded. 70% of the transactions were here. And then out of the 70%, this is your highest point of entry where most of the value was transacted. This is where market participants were, acting, trading the most value. So as you're coming up, this is basically resistance because you started the break in and bounce to the downside. You see the value that was being built here, a lot of market participants, right? So this is what the concept of looking at whether or not you are gaining acceptance because you're remaining in balance, okay? Because remember, as you look at a chart, all it is economics, right? Think of anyone from America, think about COVID, when toilet paper was going nuts, right? Because the price of toilet paper was skyrocketing. Why? Because the demand was there, right? And we were lacking in the supply, so it just completely increased. It's the same concept when it comes to trading, right? So this is technically resistance until it's flipped. And how do you recognize whether price has gained acceptance inside previous value? It's very simply risk to reward. That's just how you're going to have to look at it. The way I look at it, there's a more analytical way to look at things, obviously, not just a simple chart. But all that is really is that, the most basic way is, are you getting candle closes inside previous value? And the answer is yes. Are you analyzing the footprint data on a footprint chart, which I'm not going to show you here. It might be like a little too much for some people, might be overwhelmed, right? But in reality, each of these candles represent orders that are being thrown into the market. So if you look at this, you're like, okay, yes, we can talk about higher highs, higher lows on market structure. But if there was a way for you to look at each individual candle, you could see how much volume is being transacted. Why would you not utilize that tool on top of everything else you know? Because what I dislike about the trading space in general, especially online, is that most people are elitists, right? They'll be like, well, this way is better, or this way is better, or this way works, but this is all you need. Like, like you see the headline, it's like, oh, the only method you need. I'm like, bro, get off your high horse. You could use all of them because they all work, okay, to some degree, right? So now that you've gained acceptance, right, you can even switch this to the 4-hour, and you can see that you've gained a 4-hour close inside. And I remember telling the people in the community, hey, we've closed 4-hour. I'm targeting minimum the POC, which was at 60. Everyone remembers this. And then I came back and said, hey, you did a back test and you reclaimed, okay? So you are retracing this level. So just on this chart alone, let's just delete this part, right? You could say, okay, should I be shorting support? And the answer is no. Should I be shorting demand, right? I don't care what language you use. You just, should you be shorting? Because now that you're seeing this, okay? Obviously, you should be looking for longs. This is when you should be throwing Fibonacci's in there in terms of retraces. This is where you should be looking for your fair value gaps. This is where you should be looking for any tool that will help your long, okay? So now that you're starting to see, right, let's just assume this is live price action and this has not happened yet, and you do end up retracing to this area. This is where footprint will come very naturally, easily for you, and it will assist you on whether or not you are creating an imbalance to break to the upside. Because historically, when you have price action in one particular profile for the week, remember, CME closes weekly basis, right? It should maintain balance, right? Buyers should slow down here, in theory, and sellers should come in. But if you're only looking at TradingView, and I know a lot of SMC traders only look at TradingView, they're like, oh, footprint doesn't help. You're not going to know whether that's happening. But this is where footprint can really come into great level of detail, and also it'll give you an edge, right, to help assist whether or not you're starting to create that imbalance. Because all you need to do is, as you approach this level, are you seeing buyers come in to try to create that imbalance? Because if you do, you're going to flip this level. So let's go ahead and just continue, right, to see how that played out. You obviously broke through, and then what are you seeing here? You're seeing an imbalance, because I remember telling this to the group, because this was your next level of resistance, because you have to either create back, you could possibly just chop around here just to see who's going to win, buyers or sellers, right? But then it was so apparent that day, and I said to the guys and the girls, obviously, that you are having an incredible amount of positive delta here. This thing is going to rotate all the way over here. And that's exactly what happened, right? Even though we saw some sort of rejection here on the point of control, you still ended up flipping that. And that's exactly what's happening. You just did another, supply and demand, SR flip. Doesn't even matter, like how you want to read it. All these concepts that people say, all these gurus say, they all, in theory, okay, support the same idea. It's just, for some reason, everybody wants to one-up each other, when in reality, we're here to all win, and that's what really Chart Champions does. But the beautiful thing about, back to what Ash was saying about Bitcoin, is that because Bitcoin, I know some of you guys are only in the crypto market, you guys think, oh, it traded $1 million today. That's great. The CME trades in billions daily. So on the higher time frame, it's very difficult to use something like a weekly profile on on crypto, because on top of everything else, right? The nice thing about the CME market, which I'm not trying to convince you guys to switch over or anything like that, because like everyone has said before me, you need to really believe in what you're trading. That's how you become successful. But the advantages of the traditional market, in my opinion, is that it's structured in a way to where it's easier to read. What I mean by that is, if you look at the volume as far as footprint data, once the New York opens, the volume quadruples. Once the New York closes, it's literally pond water like volume. Like it's abysmal. Like it's untradeable. Not really untradeable, but you don't want it's not very good market conditions to trade. So it gives you a window to trade, right? And it's very structured in that way. Like, it's kind of like clocking in the work, right? I clock in right before New York, or even London. London's fairly decent, right? It has a pivot on there as well. But in the crypto space, it's very sporadic. Like it comes out of nowhere. Sometimes Asia has a pump. Sometimes London has a dump. It's not really, it doesn't increase in its volume at a very static rate, to where as soon as 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time hits for me, volume goes from trading 5,000 contracts to literally like 30 to 40 to 70,000 contracts sometimes. And each contract is a nominal value of a $250,000. So it kind of gives you to do the math on how much volume you're really transacting there. So with Bitcoin, I tend to view Bitcoin more in ranges, in terms of established ranges, which could be very subjective in a sense. But because of the lower liquidity, you could trust whether or not acceptance is being gained or rejected.
I actually noticed someone in the comment section saying yes, but Bitcoin is 95% retail in terms of liquidity. But you'd be surprised at how much retail liquidity is in Forex, is in stocks in general. It's not as clear cut and black and white as that. It's more so the case that this is just an emergent asset class. And at the end of the day, you want your liquidity to be stable, because at the end of the day, you can have a bit more faith in your technical analysis and your being respected. When it's not, that's why you end up with, what is it, Daniel was it Scamwicks you used to call them, Daniel, on Binance?
Something like that. Yeah, where you get a random wick.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, what the hell happened? And then you find by the market, manipulated. But, it's up for debate. Is it manipulation, or is it because there's lack of stability due to lack of liquidity? These are really important things to be aware of. It's very easy, especially we've seen it on Twitter recently as well. We've people saying, they were calling for this level, and that's another bad thing. Trading. Like, don't attach yourself to a high time frame level as a forecast and hold on to it. Don't do that. That's gonna always steer you wrong. But we've seen people in the trading space on Twitter, and they've claimed that it's going to this, it's going to this. When it goes the opposite, they're like, it's like, really? You're gonna tell yourself that story again because your wallet's gonna be mad. But again, those same people are the ones giving their liquidity to the ones that want the stable market. So you do have to pick your poison in this game.
Yeah, I wanted to just add one small detail also, like if I can, Ash, is that okay?
Yeah.
So one of the biggest reasons why I push for a CME market, even with a lot of people, like I actually convinced a lot of the members who were like, man, I don't want to do nothing with CME. I'm a crypto dude, and more power to them. And I think that's super important. But as Scott was actually speaking on this as well, it gives you a lot of opportunities to get those road miles in. Because it's one thing for me, right, to throw on some charts like this and in hindsight give you guys a setup. Like, I know some of you guys have seen setups like this. Oh, you could do this and then it does that and it does this. Like, and then I can come back and say, see, I'm amazing, right? But it's totally different when you're actually in the act of trading, right? So if you look at the crypto market in general, right, are the setups there? Absolutely. But what happens if there's a quote unquote bear market, right? And I know everybody here remembers when it was at like 15, 16K or something like that, right? It was terrible, right? It was like watching paint dry, right? And it doesn't really give you any opportunities in terms of finding those road miles as far as taking trades. And if we're here as a, you joined a trading community or you're trying to learn how to trade, analysis is only the first part of that journey. The second part of that journey is to actually do the trades, right? So if let's say take baseball, for example, and this is the example I like to use is because I remember going to a batting cage one time, and then, it was like one of those softball ones and it was going like, 70, 80 miles an hour. And I almost thought I was going to die with my head thrown off, right? And that's not very fast. Like Major League Baseball, they throw 90, sometimes 100 miles an hour. But then every time you take a swing at those pitches, right, you get better and better, you get more comfortable. So if you're in a crypto space, right, and you are literally waiting weeks upon weeks sometimes, especially during down that range. The volatility now obviously is back, which is great. Even at 60K, 50K was great, right? That's where I started. But if you're here to learn how to trade, as Severin has beautifully put it a long time ago, I'm not a crypto trader, I'm not a stock trader. I just trade the asset that shows me profitability. And that's how the way you should be. But in order to scale to that level, you need to be able to get to a level to trade a market that has the liquidity to find those opportunities. And I can tell you the success in Chart Champions, the majority of them come from the futures market, and they view Bitcoin now and crypto far differently. They're like, oh, I can wait. I'm more patient. Because if you're having those, like if you just look at any Discord or even Twitter, like people searching for these, even just comments right now, you just take a good look at what people say about Bitcoin. They're itching for a position. I'm not itching for a position. I've been short and chill since 66K. I've been spot long since 15, 16K. I'm just fine, right? So when you take that concept to relativity, and then you're able to quote unquote fix that itch to pay the bills, because as far as futures is concerned, like you could easily make $400 or $500 a day here. And funnily enough, like people think that's not a lot of money. Like $400 a day, Monday through Friday, gives you roughly about 250 days out of the year, roughly, probably a little more. That's 100K a year. And you could do that with your eyes closed, trading the futures market. And the greatest thing about it that I like to promote is there's no market fees. Like if you get stopped, you lose the $4 on the rotation. To enter, it takes $4. The liquidity is obviously $400, but the fee is $4. Sometimes you get those market fees at some of those exchanges that take away your profits. You hit TP1 and you put your stop loss at entry, but you get stopped. It ate your profits. It's not like that in the futures market. So not only is there opportunities to go in, to have those trades, to get the road miles in, to get more comfortable, to take every single trade that is the high probability trade, not just to pull the trade because you saw a chart or you saw some influencer said it, or because you're lacking the patience to do so. It'll build that character in order for you to fully utilize the market as it should.
There's a lot to take away from the math there. I really hope people have paid attention to that. If you do the math, especially based on the cost of doing business, the cost of entering the trade and being stopped out, and that's $4, as Rivalry said, but even in terms of the upwards potential that you can make per day. Let's say you're just dipping your toe in, it's not per day, but per week. That in itself is, a good salary for people. Okay, you can argue whether it's good or bad, but it's still a starting salary for a lot of people. You have a great, healthy baseline. Managing your expectations in what you want to earn is massively important in trading. And one thing I've seen is that the ES traders have a better time doing that. The problem we have with the crypto market is that, and it's not the crypto market, it's new people that enter it. Their psychological direction is completely skewed because they've usually heard from a friend who got into Bitcoin or an altcoin at the lucky right time or early and 10x, and they overnight became a millionaire. And they think, well, that's got to be the way for me too. That's the way I want to be, because it's minimal work and it's all the luck and all the reward. And you can sit and hope, but you'll probably be sitting forever for it to never come. But if you trade, and again, it doesn't even have to be ES, can be Bitcoin, can be altcoins, whatever it is. But if you manage those expectations and you do the math, goes back to what Severin said, treat it as a business, lay out the plan. What would you like your forecasted earnings to be every once fees have been deducted, once your P&L reveals itself? Get yourself on a structured path. It's the only way to do it. Now, it's very, it's more challenging to structure a path trading crypto. Markets open 24/7, 7 days a week. There's no breaks. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of immaturity in the social space regarding crypto. And those are the 95%. The ones that are making all the money in crypto, usually institutions, and they're usually silent assassins. Daniel. Of course, we do a bit more on the social front, but we're not there constantly talking about crypto with people. We're just doing it to do business and trade. The ES, you won't have that noise. You won't have that distraction. You won't be bothered by, oh, but this tribe says this and this tribe forecasts this. You just won't have that in the ES. To make money by making trades. I did want to just put you on the spot for one very brief question, Rivalry.
Sure.
With the ES and how you trade it day in and day out, looking at the future perspective of the SPX, which the ES is the futures contract for. How are you feeling about the SPX for next year? What are we thinking? Are we going to take all-time highs and go again? Or are you looking for a bit of stagnation? How are you looking at of 2024 for the stock market?
That's a great question. Thank you, Ash. So let's go through as to why we even bounced from the bottom to begin with, right? So if we need to go on a higher time frame for this, let me do that right now. So as you look at this right here, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm looking at, right? Like I said, back to what we were stating earlier, you could look at this as a higher time frame supply and demand bounce, right? Because this was previous supply. You made that high, you just back tested for that supply, that now is now demand, and now you're pushing up, right? So why are we doing this? So you could look at that right there as that breakout for a back test. Okay, that's the supply and demand price action, guys. They're reading it that way. So you can look at it that way, and I also myself personally look at that way myself, because I was actually talking about this area on the champions and contender streams that we do, that this was an area that you'd be looking at because of that distribution breakout. Okay, that would be your back test. But in theory, right, if you could, how we talk about profiles, you can look at profiles on a higher time frame. So I pulled multiple, okay, and they all come to one concluding factor, is that this is their high time frame point of control on that volume profile, right? So I have here from COVID, okay, that's your 70% from COVID to here, okay, this is your 70%. So all this data down here, right, is 30%. 30%, this is between here and there, 30%, and this is 70% right here, from here to here, right? Vertical data, okay? So you can see the clusters forming here. I know I had there was a comment on the chat earlier, hey, do you guys look at the volume clusters? Oh, we absolutely do. So as you tested this area, this is just your lack of volume to buy, okay, causing a imbalance break to the upside to take out this high. All it did is started to rotate, okay? Anyone that knows how I teach is that when you fail to rotate, you're likely to take out the local high, which would be at least at the bare minimum this. So you could look at that as, hey, that's a pretty cheap way to look at it. That's not that far. But are there reasons to go up there? And the answer is yes. So I know that there's actually a futures rollover gap that would happen there where you change contracts over, and I'm not going to get to the whole gist of that. But personally for myself, okay, this is resistance until you start building quote unquote value up in this area. And what I would be looking for are candle closes on the daily and the weekly that break above this area, okay? As far as pullback, this right here is your quote unquote supply area. So if you flip that area, like you break, take that out, back test this, and then you come up, I would expect an all-time high, a sweep for minimum at least. But where it fails to say that we're going to just keep flying to like 6K, no, you would have to consider this right here. There's not a whole lot right there. But the fact that this is holding, okay, because of this volume node, okay, already tells you that the demand to flip this area, which was previous supply, was very strong. So the bulls right now in complete control. So if you have been a bear this entire time, you've just got absolutely wrecked, right? You got clapped to the bone, right? So for me personally, okay, I am very bullish to take out the high, but where that would change is where I would go in more local time frame, to where I would start looking more at the daily. And once we approach the value area of that area, the value area high of this area, is where now I would start looking more local time frame. That's where I would drop to more of a daily, a 4 hour, to see if there's a curling pattern, a nice swing high, to where you could even go as low as the 15-minute, right? Where market structure completely shifts. And I'm not going to take you on a whole lesson on market structure, but there is a reason to come up here, and that's the futures gap at roughly around 4,600. So let's just go all the way here, and I can show you where that is. That is right there. That is from the rollover on the contract switch that has not been filled. And that is roughly around 86 to about 98. So you could just say 4,600. So if we come up here, fill that gap, right? You close a daily below, then yes, I'm going to be shorting. I'm going to be bearish locally. But where that doesn't change for me, where, for instance, where I would stop looking for all-time high is if we take this out, we close, and then we formulate another weekly to where it's a lower high, and we gain acceptance back into this value area. You could even go lower as the 2020 range. The value area is still the same, but you could also do it from all-time high. So if you come in here, close below, very, very bearish locally from here to here. But if you start closing below here, we would take out this at the bare minimum. At the bare minimum, because it's going to value rotate. So you close a weekly inside 44, let's say 44.12, just a weekly close below. I would be looking for it, if there's any pullback, a lower high, or a full-on retrace to take out the low of that POC. I mean, and a better high probability trade would be all the way to the at least the value area low. But like I said, we need to see the closes at the value area high to determine whether or not there's an imbalance breaking to the upside. And footprint can help that. But that would be at the bare minimum what I'm looking for.
That's lovely stuff. Really simple as well, because I've seen in the comments people ask, because obviously it's titled about market crash predicted. And again, we're not saying this in the context of a crash or that it has to happen, but we're looking at it as probabilities and what are the options on those probabilities. And at the time, that market may, again, because of the stability in these markets, it may not just waterfall like you'd expect to see in crypto assets and so forth. It could work its way down. But from what Rivalry showed you here, treat it as a mini lesson. Get familiar with these fixed ranges, get those levels marked, those value areas, just so that you have something to reference if you see the market making all-time highs, or if you see it failing after rotating above that last range and then coming back in to be accepted, and then look at that final area where we could say, yeah, okay, this is going to go down further. But don't be a doomsday predictor with this stuff either. You have to look at it like options, one of two scenarios, and what are the probabilities. And by utilizing footprints, as he said, but also those value areas, then you can start to look at which probability is moving in your favor. More important one for me, and our members, they've probably heard me repeat on about this time and time again, market structure. If you want the right to look at a chart, an asset, then you have to put in the work to learn and understand market structure. Because if you don't, you will never, ever understand which way the trend is going. And you have to take the time to do that. And honestly, it doesn't take much. There are a lot of complicated lessons out there. There's a lot of complicated ways of looking at it. I'll be honest, we reviewed our previous market structure lessons earlier this year. And, I sat down with Daniel and I said, I'm not satisfied with them. I think we can do better. We should do better. Severin himself has taken upon himself market structure parts 1 and part 2, and learn them again in very, very small parts. And part 1 is ever so easy to grasp. Part 2 is where we start to look at volume data and look at the enhancement to see when price is trying to reverse, is it actually getting true strength to show that, yes, this is going to be an actual reversal and that's it at a change in market structure, or should we just consider it to be another lower high or high for our position accordingly? Market structure will take you a long way, but more importantly, it's going to eliminate easily 70% of the guesswork out of trading, because you will already know where the trend's going. And when you know where the trend's going, you will know what trades you should be looking for, be it long or short. So all I'm going to say on market structure, because there's a lot to go into it, but I would like people to really take note of what Rivalry's shown you. Had good coverage on the altcoin market and Ethereum, and where we're looking on the high time frame for Ethereum to go. But also, this is the biggest market in the world to be looking at right now. When it comes to, again, it's a weird place for people to be, because yes, albeit we're approaching the previous all-time highs on the SPX, but the economy around us looks bearish. That's the truth, and that's why these circumstances feel really weird. And as Rivalry said, a lot of people have been bears on this entire move up, and it's cost them. And it's either cost them because they're getting stopped out and they're losing, they keep trying to short, or it's cost them opportunity, and rightfully so, because for a lot of people that aren't in the know, they're sat on their hands confused. They're thinking, hold on, economy's going to shit, but the market's going up. What the hell's going on? And you can theorize that all day long, and you can maybe because of inflation, where banks dump their money so at least it can protect and it can grow. You can go into all kinds of speculation, but do have to channel it out if you want to take part in the game of trading. That's another psychological lesson that people have to get familiar to, but you can eliminate a lot of the noise by using data to your advantage and being willing to get familiar with data. Rivalry's lessons, Severin's lessons on market structure and scalping, they have between them and Eagle and ES series on the Chart Champions platform that our contenders and champions have been through. For each individual coach as well, have each done their ES series. So Rivalry's focuses around prop firms, and then futures trading on prop firms, with Severin covering his strategy that he used on the future, Eagle covering his too. And again, you can take your pick and go from there. And that's 3-part series. Again, really easy to get in with, get settled in, and get familiar with. 3-part series. You know, you probably spend more time watching Netflix than you would watching that. So think about it. Can you sacrifice the familiarity of the Office 5 for the 15th time to maybe learn something new and learn about a new market? Food for thought, guys, especially on Black Friday. Anyways, Rivalry, really want to thank you for the masterclass there. I was not expecting. I can see a lot of love from our existing members. Dream, you made her. Love Moon Dream. I'm so glad she's a part of Chart Champions. Any final words for the gang before we bring on our next guest?
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, I'm just going to echo what Scott and Severin have said. Honestly, and this is not to be negative at all. Like, I am a person that does not need to be at Chart Champions, but I stay because I believe in the vision that the company has really brought out. You know, there was a huge change since 2021, even into 2022. And for me, okay, actually not just for me, but this is for everyone. Trading is very lonely. It's a very lonely space. Like, you know, we can come in here, razzle dazzle, you know, whatever it is. But in the end, it's just you and some screens, right? And you can't really celebrate your wins. You can't, wow, who are you going to tell? Like, I have a few dogs here. Hey, I won. You know, like nobody really cares, especially, I guarantee you, in just your network in general, not a lot of people know what trading is. They probably think you're just some scam artist, right? But if you network yourself with like-minded individuals, right? And you'll grow as a community. Like, I know some of the professional firms out there, they trade as groups, right? They collaborate together and trade one pot. I mean, I don't advocate that for whatever reason, but I understand the concept of doing so, right? And sharing that knowledge. I've learned from everyone here. They know who they are because I always talk about them all the time. I'm not going to call them out here, but like a lot of them have great skills in their analysis that blow me away, right? I'm learning from them, and these are members, right? Because we kind of just gave them a push. Like they've taken some of our concepts and just like literally ran with it, and it's excelled my trading capability, my mindset, and being put together with all these great individuals has really caused this community to be amazing, and that's what really separates us from a lot of the different ones. But yeah.
Yeah. I echo that. I'm just reading through the comments. Dustin Wilson decided to take advantage of Black Friday and was a former member. Oh, welcome back, man. Great to have you on board. And I really do hope you take advantage, not just of the Black Friday sale, but also these new strategies that we've had put in this year. Honestly, pick whichever one. And as long as you're willing to commit to the asset, you can't go wrong, my friend. The support's always going to be there for you. So welcome back. Looking forward to having you, man. Okay, let's get ready to bring on our next guest because the clock is really, really ticking. Daniel, what are you doing? Are you still awake? Are you still with us? Is that just a screenshot of you in the corner?
This is the AI robot.
I mean, you know what? We don't do this often. In my mind, I was like, okay, we can allocate 2 hours for this. But you know what? It is the week of Thanksgiving. I did see someone commenting on the amount of time we spent on this lesson, but you know what, we don't get to do this often, and maybe there is an important turning point for people just watching from the sidelines to learn about trading. Well, at least now you know where to start, what elements to look at in terms of market structure, which markets to look at in particular to understand liquidity and stability. There's no rush. Trading's not going anywhere, but we do this not to just sit and, like Rivalry said, become part of the tribe of, hey, look, ours is better, or hey, this market's better to trade. It's not about that. At the end of the day, we don't need to be out here telling people what to do and where to look, but there's a responsibility here. If you're going to talk about trading, at least in my ethics and my world, you better do it the right way, the transparent way, and you shouldn't be trying to tell people to do something or trade something just because you're attached to it. As you've seen, we are predominantly started out as a crypto trading channel, but so far today we've started talking about altcoins, now onto the traditional markets, and we're wrapping up with the Bitcoin market with the man himself, Daniel. But the point is here is if you're going to do something, do it for the right reasons, not because someone told you to do this or someone told you to do that. And then maybe you do have to surround yourself with the correct community, not just in the outside world, like Rivalry said, who can you share your wins with? Because it's good to have people that celebrate your success. That will actually psychologically give you further encouragement to keep looking to succeed, because you're not only getting a positive feedback response in the brain, but it's being reaffirmed in the real world because people are also validating that for you, which again gives you another confirmation signal in the brain too. Whereas, again, in the crypto world, you could just say, I'm this shitcoin, and someone will say, how dare you, this shit one's better. And then they both end up being a complete rug pull and an exit scam. But it doesn't matter because you're still attached to it, and that's how these people behave. Anyways, that's enough about me ranting about crap. I really want to bring on the next guest so he can get going. I also guys up too late. So this next guest of ours, his name is Jamie, and he reached with a very interesting request lately. And for me, it's interesting at least anyway, because it dives into the psychological realms of trading. It also touches on the factors of the noise that we've spoke about in the social space of trading. And this individual made an objective choice to block out as much of that noise as he could. Because you have to understand, when you're in Chart Champions, you're in a server that consists of thousands of people. And at any given time, there is usually over 500 online. You can imagine the general chat space itself, very excitable. There's also a night and day difference between the ES channel that we have versus the general chat where more people talk about Bitcoin. More people in the ES are just focused, making that money, making that trade, what's next, what's obviously Bitcoin comes with different territory, different mentality, so there's going to be a different level of conversation going on there. But I'd like to welcome on Jamie. He's one of our champion members. I like what he did because he took responsibility for something that he noticed was affecting his trading performance. We'd already spoke to this, and we'd looked at a bit of direction, what kind of trading style could be more tailored to someone, within his situation, his lifestyle. If you have commitments such as a full-time job, a family, you have to look at it realistically. Can you sit scalp trading all day, every day? Or can you at least be available when an alert that you have to take into account? You need to audit your lifestyle before you pick a trading style, in my opinion, because then you can start to transition into a strategy that's going to you in the near term. As you get better, as Severin did, you can then start to pick off that where you can transition your current lifestyle into a lifestyle that will allow trading. You have to go hand in hand. So Jamie, welcome and thank you for being a part of Chart Champions. Glad you're here, and also forgive us for keeping you so late on Friday night.
Not a problem at all. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. Really good to be here.
Thank you, man. So I just wanted to just confirm with you, what asset are you predominantly trading?
Majority of the time it is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some occasionally Litecoin. And I tried my hand very recently at trading some of the crypto-related stocks like Mara, Riot, and Coinbase.
I'm guilty of trading those, and guilty of also constant correlation. Riot and Mara, yeah, I mean they do correlate very well. Usually, or at least in 2021 and 2022, whichever direction Bitcoin went, they went to hand in hand. It was very easy trades back then. I don't know about now because I haven't traded such a long time. But very, very easy time they gave me, and a very, very generous profit in 2021. So thank you to Mara. But so you're trading Bitcoin. And again, because Bitcoin is still an emerging asset with emerging liquidity, you and I were talking, you said that you'd started to get a very consistent series of weeks, or dare I say months, I can't remember which it was, but you started to find that you was getting happy with the results you were bringing in for yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about, where it was going wrong and what you did to fix that and start to make it go right?
Yeah, definitely. So I view myself completely at the beginning of my journey as a trader still. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, the past 6 weeks have been, really good in my eyes. Like I've been consistently making profits. My win rate is going up a lot, which is great, and I can only put that down to the coaching from you guys. But I think before that 6 week period, well, or the most recent 6 week period, I was falling into the rabbit hole of spending a lot of time staring at a chart, kind of aimlessly looking where price was going, watching it go up and down, and then flicking between that and the general chat, and almost using that as my way of trading or confirming whether I should take a trade or not, which is obviously terribly counterproductive, but something that I've struggled with for a while now, I guess, is sort of compulsively checking that chat to confirm the bias that I have for my trade plan. And that, when you chase that feeling all the time, it becomes incredibly distracting. So I think when me and Ash had our chat, it must have been about 2 months ago now, you pointed me in the direction of some strategies that I should look at that would kind of benefit that would work better with the time that I have. And we also spoke a little bit about my sort of compulsive addiction almost to nipping in sometimes, a few times a minute, dare I admit, into the general chat to see if someone posted a new TA that lined up with mine, just so I could get that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling. So, it took me a decent amount of time and self-reflection to realize that was happening, and then I managed to step away from it. There's a function in Discord where you can mute a server channel and it hides it from your list. And then for the next month, things started to get better, and I was making more consistent profit. Win rate was going up, and what I really liked was the fact I was, I was taking responsibility for my own trades, my own wins, my own losses. There was nothing else, no other input really, aside from the videos that I was watching of the coaches. And then the past couple of weeks, I've felt myself slowly slipping back into that pattern of dropping into the general chat and getting too involved and caught up in the emotions, because it is a highly emotional place, I think. And some people, I'm sure, can stay in there and block it out, but I'm not one of those people. So I had a trade open 2 or 3 nights ago. It was the night I messaged you, Ash. I had a trade open 3 nights ago, and I saw a message in the general chat, and it got me fearful of the trade that I'd opened, and I was, I felt all this panic and raw emotion. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to close the trade, and I closed the trade, and within 2 hours, had I stuck to the plan, it would have hit my TP1, my TP2, and would have been running, and that would have been, I set myself a goal to earn my monthly outgoings, and that's all I want, is each month to earn my monthly outgoings, and it covers my expenses and rent, gas, electricity, all that. And that one trade alone would have done that, and I was sat there really, really angry at myself. Then I had this moment of clarity that maybe I should reach out to Ash and see if there was a way of locking myself out of that group. And I can tell you that Ash followed through, and the relief I feel is amazing. Honestly, it's so good. I don't feel the desire. Obviously, I can't check it anymore. But
yeah, just want to say, it's not like a forceful lockout. This was a request.
Yeah, this was a complete request. Yeah.
But I admire it. I really do. That's the first time anyone in the history of Chart Champions has ever approached me and asked for that. And I'm always going to do my best to accommodate requests for our members if it helps them. I will go to the hill for our members and back. This one, I mean, I'll give credit to the devs because I'm not that tech savvy with Discord settings. I dare not touch them, but they knew what to do, and I was like, you know what? If you can do this, it's going to mean a lot to this guy. I'm not too sure if they understood why, but they did it. And I genuinely hope that it's going to deliver what you intend for it to do, because for me, from where I'm sitting, it seems like you've been on the right track. There was just that one moment where there was a little speed bump, but you've done everything you can to quickly correct it. And sure, you might have that, little bit of a refractory period where your brain's going to be kicking you for you shouldn't have done it because you lost, and it's going to keep bringing back like what could have been. But if you can just write that off anyway, then you're back on track. You've still got the plan. You've still got the strategy. You've been using it all this time. That's all you got to do, is really and truly is get back on the horse and keep running with the wind, man. I really think that you can pull this back, no problem.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Yeah, I decided as well just to take a couple of days off from taking any trades. So obviously I missed the highs finally being taken today. However, for the first time, I did actually sell some spot, so I'm happy about that.
Good. And look, that's also another good thing to do as well, is learn to pay yourself. A lot of people don't do that because, and again, it all depends on your MO at the end of the day. If you are a Bitcoin maximalist who just wants to hold forever and ever and ever, that's fine, but it also means you cannot complain when the price is going down. Because if you've got 1 million in mind, then fair enough. But I also bet those same people that are holding out for 1 million won't sell when it reaches. Well, I'm not going to say when, because I'll be held to that if it reaches 1 million. I guarantee those same people wouldn't sell because they're like, reached 1 million. What's to say 10 million's not on the table? I just know how it goes with the psychology. Psychology is a massive part of trading, and Rivalry will also echo that. He spoke before. He's also recommended books such as Mind Over Markets that really help people. It is a massive part because you're going to be, number one, your own worst critic. And you're also going to be the very first person, to doubt yourself. And again, general chat in our Discord server is just for people to have a general chat. But because they're very much enthusiastic about the market, trading, and Bitcoin, the topic of conversation tends to revolve back to that anyway. But again, as Jamie said, it's very easy, for a new trader, or if you're just getting your strategy down, it's just starting to work for you. It's very easy to be shaken, because when you people's comments on the internet, you read them in whatever tone your brain puts them into. And if someone writes like they're so confident, yet they could be so wrong, we're going to translate that as, God damn, that person has conviction. Why else would they be so courageous with their words? But, for the seasoned ones who have had to go through those losses, trials and tribulations, I think back to, and I think, well, I remember that guy saying Bitcoin's going to zero, and boy, did I listen to him. And you learn from the first time you get burned. Second time, don't put your hand in the fire. We actually, not even just us as staff members, we have other members that say to people, if you're new through the door and you want to learn, stay out of general chat. The reason I admire Jamie for doing this is because the real learning takes place on the platform. Everything that Daniel walked you through earlier and showed you, the strategies, everything, the live trading, those examples, the trade recaps, the journal where you need to be documenting your data, it's all on the platform. In fact, the only reason you need the Discord server is if you need help with understanding an element of a lesson or technical analysis, then Trade Assistant team is there on hand, ready to answer whenever you want, 7 days a week. And you'll get an answer within 24 hours. And that can be any question related to technical analysis and trading. They will be able to set you straight on that course. But back to you, Jamie, I do want to ask, with your trading style, are you managing that against full-time commitments such as education, full-time job, family, if you don't mind?
So I'm self-employed with sort of two kind of things at the moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's very part-time at the moment. It could be full-time, but towards November, December, everything seems to peter out in my industry. It really slows down. So yeah, and now I've got a good 2 months ahead of me where I can really crack on and focus and go through the modules, which is what I've been wanting to do for a while now.
Again, that's admirable. If you've had this profitable 6-week streak, a lot of people would think that's it, I've got it, and they would keep going and probably never look back on the learning. It's interesting that you've decided to choose this quiet period to put more into learning. I'm sure you do a bit of trading as well, but a lot of people think, I'm going to maximize as much profit I can out of this. In the busy periods, how is it then like? Do you find trading rates goes right the way down, like you don't get to take that many trades, or you still managing to save weekly during those moments?
Definitely still managing to get trades in. Order flow is something that I've only really in the past month started to wrap my head around and use, and that now that I have used it, when I'm away from the computer and just looking on my phone, for example, I'm like, oh man, where's my order flow? I want to be looking at it.
Gotcha.
But so yeah, to a degree, I am still definitely taking trades when I'm busy. The morning updates from the coaches and the champion streams are invaluable to me. So that's been really, really helpful in terms of lining up with my TA in the mornings before I watch a stream. If my TA aligns with one of the coaches' TA, that to me is it shows that I'm taking a step in the right direction, which I'm really happy about, obviously.
Nice, I like that. So basically, your TA is already laid out, and then you watch the daily update, and you're not having to basically mimic the coaches. You can see that you're on the. Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And it hasn't happened. It doesn't happen as regularly as I'd like, but it has happened, and it's starting to happen more and more. Which obviously is a step in the right direction. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the saying: if it happens, coincidence, and if it happens 3 times, then maybe there's a pattern. So sounds like you're on a good road, man.
Yeah, there we go. Absolutely.
Also, just curious. So, with because obviously you're now basically blocking out the more. You had this consistent 6 weeks of trading. What were your entries on those trades? Were they preset limit orders? Are you setting alerts, waiting for the alerts to go off, checking the market reaction, market into the trade? How was you doing that with Bitcoin?
So that one in particular that I closed way too early, that was actually a wick down, it hit my alerts, and then I watched the price wick down to a naked point of control, and I watched the reaction. I didn't have a limit set, but then I entered on what I thought was a sign of strength, and it was definitely a sign of strength, and I talked myself out of it completely from Warren Buffett 69 posting about how Bitcoin's about to drop $10,000 over the next 2 days or whatever. So yeah.
Look, I mean, for me, I do think this is great indication that you clearly know what you're doing. Whereas, because the reason I asked you to detail those, from outside of chart champions that are listening and watching, to think when you see the price moving and it's a very volatile drop or pump, what's going through your brain at that time? Are you actually looking and understanding what that candle structure is and what it's telling you, or are you succumbing to the noise of crypto Twitter, frantically looking on YouTube to see whatever influencer is saying? You've got to really put yourself into perspective here and take audits of yourself and ask, look, if I'm going to give someone advice here, I would say ask yourself, how are you psychologically inflicted when the market moves? How do you find yourself reacting when Bitcoin dumps? Are you getting angry? Are you getting upset? Are you getting mad with yourself when the market moves and you were thinking, oh, I should have entered back then, and then it went up without you, and now you're checking and you're seeing that it doubled in price? Are you getting angry over that? Are you getting angry when you see other people posting their gains because they took a trade that you sat on? If you are, you do need to take some psychological audits on yourself. Think about it. How can you eliminate those? And again, goes back to data and evidence. If you have the evidence, then that can be in turn your confidence. But you have to have the evidence in order to have confidence. Otherwise, guessing and blindly taking a shot at whatever it is you're doing, not just trading, but anything in life, even as a business. There is one other point I really wanted to touch on, because you've came forward, you've asked to be locked out of general chats. You've also decided you're going to learn. And again, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but yeah. And again, you're new into your trading journey. That's fair, as you've said. That's fair to say. But you're making great strides. So let's say someone is sat on their hands, and then maybe they want to start over and do it right. Going through the trial and error that you've gone through now, seeing what's worked for you now, what would you say to, if they said, give me just some advice or tell me what I should or shouldn't do, what would you say to them?
Oh man, just start now, to be honest, I think. And if you put the effort and the time in, the rewards are there. I know it's probably quite cliche to say, but going back to starting now, I sat through 2 bull markets, and I rode my profits all the way up and all the way down like an absolute lemon. And now it's only been, in the lull of this kind of last bear market that I decided I wanted to take some real action and be prepared for the next bull cycle whenever that happens. If that's happening now, whatever. I think I look back and I'm like, God, I wish I'd done that in 2016, 2017, because I was there for that bull cycle. I wish I'd started sooner, basically, and I think it's a lifelong skill, or it can certainly be that way if you get good enough, and that's what I'm striving for. So yeah, like anything, like the gym, like anything in life, start now.
Have you learned anything about yourself untrading related since having a go at this?
Yeah, I think it's made me take a look in the mirror, to be honest. I psychologically wise. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but I don't think any of the coaches here have got to the stage that they're at without taking a look in the mirror and addressing some, some issues, right? So yeah, and I think it's just easy to to feel that, like, you know, when I watch the streams, I see these guys at the top of their game, or, you know, I'm sure they're going to keep going as well, right? But a level that I, you know, aspire to be at, and I'm like, well, they can't have got there without some serious self-reflection. So yeah, I think I tried to take that on board a little bit and go away and do some of my own.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've definitely spoke about our challenges, our losses. Plus, you know, it's just to make people realize that this is reality. We're all human. It happens, but the key element is when you choose to take accountability. And you know, that can sound a very harsh way to a person. It's almost like some people feel they're going to have to tell themselves up. As you said, it's about looking in the mirror, putting things into perspective. Sooner you start as well, the sooner you won't have regrets. That's also something I've learned. I will actually, I have to agree with Jamie that it's, yeah, then look, put trading aside. If there's something you want to do, if you need to get into shape, you know, if you need to lose weight, if you need to build muscle, if you need to start eating clean, start cooking, maybe start doing your housework, start sooner. Anything that's affecting you and you can see a solution. And the sooner you start, the sooner it gets better. Simple as that. Jamie, really want to thank you for coming on. More importantly, want to thank you for being a part of Chart Champions. I know a lot of members can learn from this. I'm hoping I don't get too many message requests asking people to be blocked.
Yeah, no, apologies. I've started something there.
We'll see. Do you have any final thoughts before we wish you farewell until next time?
No, just want to say, you know, thank you very much. It's an awesome community. You know, from the coaches to trading assistant, and you know, there's some really good TA in general chat as well that gets posted, and some really helpful members. But yeah, just for me, not at this moment in time is it the right place for me. But yeah, the community is amazing, and yeah, really, really grateful to be a part of it, and yeah, looking forward to progressing and seeing what I can achieve.
I'm looking forward to your success as well, and I think the probabilities are in your favour. I really do.
Thank you very much. It means a lot.
Thank you, man. Take care, and thanks for
Take
joining.
care. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Okay, Daniel, you still here?
I'm here. Hello.
Ooh, my throat's definitely starting to drop, but I'm still going on. We do have one guest. I'm thinking maybe just to make things more efficient for everyone, would you be happy if we bring her on now and then you close up with the final stadium nights of the Bitcoin TA?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine for me.
I can see people getting very keen already. Someone's referred to as the boss. I don't know what that means, but the final boss Bitcoin. I mean, there's nothing to overcome. Here to assist you. That's what Daniel does. And then I'm also seeing someone mentioning one of Severin's alerts. Severin's trading alerts are popping right now. Is that true, Severin? Are your alerts popping?
Not that I'm aware of, to be honest.
Okay. Maybe he's looking at a different altcoin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna check now.
Okay. I mean, someone's asked clickbait. This is clickbait, right? I mean, is it? Maybe it is, but and bull run coming. We're not committing to it. We basically highlighted. This is YNI. We highlighted the SPX chart with Rivalry earlier. What we'd be looking for in terms of signaling an all-time high with continuation, or if we reject from a very crucial value area to continue down. I mean, look. Even if there is a bull cycle in full force next year, there's going to be heavy corrections, and it's going to seem. I mean, you could define it as a crash for sure, but people are going to get heavily scared then. Bottom line is, you have the levels of what to look for to determine if there will be a financial market crash next year. Just rewind back to Rivalry's part, mark those levels out, write out exactly what he said he'd be looking for in that small segment, for it to come on and correct further down. And if it does, then there's your crash. But don't expect things to go to zero. I don't think that could ever happen. Well, never say never, but not looking for an apocalypse now anyway. Anyways, Daniel, let's bring on our final guest from the other side of across the pond. She is one of the ladies of Chart Champions. Welcome on board, Lisa.
Wow. Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. How are you? You've had a long wait.
I have had a long wait, and the brain's starting to go against me. I'm starting to get a bit nervous about here, but I thought I've got all these notes, but I thought, no, I'm just going to go and be raw. So
just how we like it. That's what trading is. It doesn't take into accommodation people's plans. It will slap. Thanks for your profits. It's just how it goes. But you're not that kind of person, from what I've gathered, and just by observing you in the ES channel. But it's interesting because when we were just having a quick catch up with you guys before we went live, you were also talking about how you were monitoring Bitcoin. So are you trading both? Are you trading Bitcoin and the ES?
Yes. I think so. I had spot, again, like Jamie. I got Bitcoin. My son got me into it just before the bull run, and it was just straight up. It was, I used to buy some spot and I'd go to bed and I'd wake up in the morning. Yeah, this is so easy. This is so easy. And because pick anything. Oh, what we do tonight, and go to bed and wake up again, and then reality kind of hit, and then I think I just rode the profits up and rode them down, and I just think I just quit everything in fear. I think it was May 19 when everything just really was like, what? It's going down that much? I knew nothing, and that was a bit of reality. So then I thought, no. There has to be another way. And I was in Telegram groups, and I kept hearing this. Oh, Daniel said this. Oh, Daniel's looking at this. And I'm like, oh, who's this Daniel? And his name kept coming up, and I was like, I've got to find out who this is. And so I investigated and I joined Chart Champions. And from there, you'd probably have to call me the most unpolished trader. Like, I heard everything that you all said, but I wasn't listening. And I probably thought there was a quicker way for me to do it, and replicate that bull run. And again, I learned that that's just not how it goes. And I don't know if you want the short version or the longer version, but I'm probably the most unpolished trader, and I've got a lot of sharp edges. But the TA, from everything I've learned at Chart Champions, that's stuck with me, and I get it. And I'm probably not the fastest learner in here. I remember people showing exo charts, well, maybe 18 months ago or something, and I'm like, wow, that's like learning Chinese. I won't be able to do that. And, then I started to do that. I'm like, hey, I get this. And then with Igor, with his Attis, and how he loved it so much. And I was like, no, I can't do Attis. No, that's just not as user-friendly. It doesn't look as pretty. But now I'm Attis. I'm Attis all the way, and I can do it. And like everyone, you get your little Attis hiccups, but I can do it. And so I'm really proud of myself in that way, because I watch every stream, and I go through general chat too. And but the coaches channels, I think that was a great thing that you added, because it really allows you to go into Discord and see what really matters and what the coaches are teaching and all of that. And the ES too from Rivalry. Wow, that's really given me screen time and trading time, and look, and
he really lives in that.
I'm sorry?
He really lives in that ES channel, Rivalry does. I see him there trading alongside you guys during the sessions. It's impressive. Can I be bold here?
Be bold.
Just for the sake of, I want to give people a bit of a kick up the arse and wake up. Would you mind sharing your age range with these people, just to prove that there is no excuse for learning?
Yeah, I don't mind. Well, most of the people in this group I'm probably old enough to be their mother. And I'm 56. Sorry, 56. Yeah, so one of the other groups I used to be in, everyone used to call me Mama Bear. So, but and that's crossed my mind too. Like, maybe, when I would have my struggles, oh, maybe I'm just too old for this. I don't have that sharp, quick mind like a lot of people in the group. I see people and they're like, bang, 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 and they pick this up and then they're doing that. And I'm like, whoa. And I think, like I mentioned to you the other day, Ash, I'm the tortoise. I know I'm going to get there, but I just take a bit longer to get there. But I feel like, and my biggest struggle is me, my headspace. I had confessions with you that I don't journal. Oh, that was scary admitting that to you.
No
But
judgment, no judgment at all. It's
yeah,
like I said, it's a tortoise. I'm sure you will start journaling sooner than later. I have confidence.
probably this week actually.
Oh, there you go. Winning me over already. Look at that. And for the folks listening, Atos is order flow trading utility. It's very favorable amongst our team. Obviously, we still use Exo charts, but there is additional function Atos. Bonus is it's free for using order flow on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So if you want to get into order flow and you're cost aware at the moment, then consider using Atos because you won't have to pay the monthly fee that you pay for Exo. They both have their pros and cons. They both have different interfaces, but it's a great way to start if you're a trader that wants to learn order flow. Atos is there and it's free. They also have a Black Friday sale on right now as well. Limited licenses available though, so you will check what's left. But great for people that whether they want to trade ES, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, it's there and it's a great piece of utility. And again, if Lisa here, she's declared her age and declared herself as the tortoise that emerges victorious, there is really no excuse at any age to learn, unless you have some sort of impairments, which, we take that into consideration and life does as well. But if you are sat there burning through cash, burning through your profits, burning through your P&L just because you're doing things whimsically, and you have every opportunity to learn, but you maybe say things like, well, I don't have time or I'm just not able to, you're going to have to put yourself into perspective at some point. Because honestly, Lisa, as one of the ladies of Chart Champions, she does stand out. As I said many great things about you. And he was like, she's a good person to talk to about her trading so far. Which, if you don't mind, I do want to ask so you've said that you've got Bitcoin spots and you are obviously very active in the ES chat. Are you actively trading ES? Are you firm? Do you have a preferred asset that you're trading right now and a preferred trading style?
I think the ES and a little bit of the NASDAQ is giving me screen time and trading time. Like you said, sometimes with Bitcoin, you can just wait. And I think too, after the bear market, I kind of got a bit of PTSD and was like, and every time it would go up, I'd be like, that's going to come down, and I just couldn't trust it. And so I kind of steered away from it. And that was really when Rivalry came on the scene and, encouraged the ES. And I thought, why not give it a go? And look, it has been great. And his teachings have been great with that as well. And also with Severin and his calmness. And so every day, I think like Jamie said, I try and get in before Severin and mark my levels. And if he comes in and does similar levels, it's like bingo. But my problem is that, as I've mentioned to you, being in Australia, London opens at 7:00 at the moment, and it's like dinner time, family time, and now in New York, it used to be 11:30, and all of a sudden it's jumped to 1:30 in the morning, the open. So it never seems to work, and invariably I'll wake up in the morning and those levels I've marked out, they've hit. So I have to get my head around that I don't want to put limits there because I've seen those be crashed through, my spots be crashed through. So FOMO for me is something I'm always trying to beat. And that is challenging when I come up in the morning and I can see the levels have been hit and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? So I'm currently trying to work on a strategy. I've even thought about, hey, maybe I'll just live the hours in New York and I'll sleep in Australia during the day and I'll stay awake at night, but that doesn't work, so.
The only person I know who does that is Rivalry. He openly admits he has no sleep schedule, and it's true. It really is true.
He's in the New York time zone.
I will see him online when basically the West Coast is all deep asleep, early hours in the morning. Wow, what's this guy doing? He'll probably say, I'm pre-prepared for pre-market. It's just how it is. But so on that note, are you actually finding yourself closer to a solution that tailors your time zone? Are you still working on, just experimenting with anything? Like what does the solution look
Yes,
like?
well, I'm in the process of, I think I'm really trying to find some structure. So it's like, okay, maybe if I do something like, so, Mondays, Wednesdays, or whatever it might be, I will not have dinner with the family and I won't, TV time and all that. I'll do that. I'll come in here and I'll sit through London and that will be it. And whatever I trade London is London, and then I'll go to bed. And that probably could give me about 4 to 5 hours. And then other days I will maybe wake up about 4 in the morning, and that will give me maybe about 4 hours at the end of New York. And that's probably my better thing actually, because I'm probably more a morning person. So yeah, it's just juggling all of that, because you kind of wrestle with the family time, having dinner time, and then it's the best trading times. And then during the day of Australia, I sit here and I go through all the streams and read through all the chat and do some TA, and it's very lonely because there's no one there. So sometimes I'll just play Igor's 2-hour live stream, and so I've got Igor talking to me while I'm doing, trying to watch him and all of that. So yeah, it can be lonely during the day here in Australia. I wish I had more people around, but maybe that's a good thing. So I'm just doing my thing.
Well, I mean, we can look at bringing some more people from Australia and see how you get on there. But we won't open the floodgates completely for them. But it is not. I mean, we've had people from all over the world at different times, and even trading different time zones has clearly shifted over the years. I remember saying to you guys earlier before live, like trading Asia Open back in 2018, 2017, there was insane volatility, especially on the crypto market. Where you get some guaranteed good action. And I don't know, personally, from my take over the years, it's really dropped off. It just isn't what it used to be. Seems to be more prominent in New York and, as you said, London. But we will also, as a team, we will look at, if there is an asset solution that could maybe work in your favor. I'm sure between myself and coaches, we can put our heads together and look at what's available to see if there is something that could truly lean your way. I know you've said you've been trading oil. Rivalry even mentioned that as well, that he was trying to mimic what you're doing, but the volatility is different. But, all that aside, let's put aside the finding, a time zone that works for you in a session that works. Do you have any other concrete trading goals, for next year? Is there anything that you're looking to achieve in terms of, be it consistency, profitability, win rates? Have you got any hard?
Well, obviously, increase win rate would be, of course, everyone's here. That's one goal. But I think more to just kind of lean into it a bit more and be a bit calmer about my trading. Like, like I said to you, I've told you all the things I don't do, and I probably don't do a lot of things that I should be doing. So I'm trying to look at those. Like, I don't like reading books. I never have liked reading books, but all these books and people constantly go on, and I have the books. I don't read them. And it's like, when am I going to read them? So make a time during the day, when it's quieter, and even an hour, and just go aside and read the book. Things like that. I have this part of me that a good side and a bad side, and the good side says, Lisa, go read the book. Take an hour here, take an hour for that, break down your day, structure it. And the bad side says, no, wait, Bitcoin's going to move or something's going to happen. Don't leave your charts. And I kind of wrestle with the good and bad, Lisa. So
we all do. That I guarantee everyone who is trying to trade does that and probably succumbs to let's say, the devil on the shoulder more than the voice of reason. A little trick, by the way, for people that want to read, but just they bought all those new books and never opened them. Challenge yourself to read one page, but not even a page. Challenge yourself to read the first paragraph. You'll probably find you trick your brain into reading the entire page anyway, and then if it's decent enough, you'll probably end up reading an entire chapter. It's usually how it goes. I'm not an advocate for this next solution, but I remember Daniel telling me about it. There are apps and services, correct me if I'm wrong, where they will provide an entire summary of all the key highlights of a book. What's the name of that, Daniel? Can you remember?
Yes. So this is called Blinkist, and basically it will take the whole book and summarize it into a 5-minute audio book. So that's a really good solution if you want to read a book, but you don't want to read a book. It will summarize everything into a few chapters for you in an audio file.
Oh, where was that when I was in high school?
Yeah.
It was that when I was in high school, to be fair. But I mean, look, I do think the honesty you've shown here, I really hope people have related to, because I know all of us here, if we haven't had it now, we've definitely had those moments at some point where we know we should be doing things and what they are, and we know when we're going against it. But honestly, from, you've done a good job here of calling yourself out, I'll be honest. But I just want to reaffirm to the people watching that I've paid attention to what you post, your TA, and your results when you are able to trade in the ES chat. And you are doing really, really well in my perspective.
Thank you, Ash. That means a lot. Because you don't
in terms of TA, that goes a long way. When you know what you're doing in terms of TA, that goes a long way. I think, unfortunately, it's not having the environment to practice in, because time itself doesn't come to you because of where you're based in the world. As dismal as that sounds. But yeah, I do think once you get that nailed, I honestly think once you have those opportunities, you'll be off to the races, or it will just get sharp.
I do too. I just think things just seem to take me longer, and I go about it a different way, but hopefully get to the same destination. So, but my time zone is my time zone. So I have to, and this is something I've just had a big conversation with myself, and said, well, how's FOMO working for you? Well, it hasn't been. Okay, so stop doing it. And, how's whinging about your time zone working for you? Well, it doesn't change anything. So, you think I'd know that by my age when you're all of those things, but, it's a tough game psychologically. Psychologically, it can be a tough game. So working on that, and that's my goal. So next time we speak, hopefully I'll have a few things implemented. I'm reading and I'll be journaling, and hopefully, I'll be able to say, hey, my P&L is reflected in that. So
even if you've done just one piece of one of those, I'm going to count that as a win. I never overwhelm yourself. But, being as you've also addressed next steps there, if I'm going to put you on the spot now, as I've done with the other guys, what would you say is the next step for anyone who is being a complete degenerate in trading right now? What would you say is their next step if you had to give one to the public?
I'll just say, really ask yourself in your quiet moments to yourself, is it working for you? Is it working for you? And, you always think the next trade's going to be the best one, and it's not. It's not. Or the big one's going to come. Well, it's not. And it might, but probably not. And, just calm yourself, just slow everything down, I think, because less is more. If you just slow everything down, I think you'll get there a lot quicker in the end. Luck might have been on your side, but in the end, it's the TA and the plan, the trade the plan. Oh, wow, I've heard that a million times, and I've only just learnt that in the last 6 months to actually do that. It's like you've been yelling at me.
Right? It does work when you actually start to apply it.
Why does it take me so long to hear all this? That's anyway.
I could go into another round, but I don't want to give a neuroscience lesson to the folks now. But I do want to say a big thank you. I mean, look, you've been raw and real with the people. I do think, especially in the crypto trading space, you've got to slow yourself down. 100% agree with you there. And more importantly, that question, is this working for you? I challenge anyone listening to this. Every day you find yourself looking at the chart, looking at the price of Bitcoin, whatever asset you're into. Ask yourself, I challenge you now, ask yourself, is this working for me? And is this working in relation to whatever dream future you have? See how real you can be with yourself then, like Lisa. Lisa, I really want to thank you for being as raw and real as you are. I know I put you on the spot last minute, but it does mean a lot, and I really hope people have taken example from what you shared with them today.
Thank you. Can I just say to Daniel, you have just got the perfect recipe now, with Rivalry and Severin coming on board, and with Igor and Ash there too, and yourself, perfect recipe. Like it's just mince. Anybody thinking of coming on board, like this is the place to be. Block out the rest of those YouTube channels. If you want to learn, just it's here, nowhere else. So that's me.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm speechless there, so thank you.
You're awesome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa, take care. I was about to say good night. Have a good and whatever. I know it's technically Saturday for you, so if you're with the family, have a great time with them.
9:30 a.m. Off for my day now. Thank you all, and you should be tucking yourself into bed soon. Some of you, shouldn't you?
We will. Speak soon.
Okay. Good night. Bye.
All right, then. That's it. We've got the guest done. Do you still have juice in the tank?
I've just got enough left, I think.
I know it's gonna happen. I know as soon as we finish, you're gonna say, "Let's make sure we keep it shorter this time." Or next time. I'm already telling myself. Maybe I did overpack this one. Forgive me, folks. Just gonna say I overpacked it, but I just saw some great people that I wanted to bring on today. I really wanted everyone to meet Rivalry and Severin. I wanted them to see what they're working with, and to have something for them to put on their charts for the near future. Dan, I'm not going to say take up any more time. They're waiting for Bitcoin and what you're looking at going into 2024. So are you down?
Yeah. Let's move over to my charts, and I'll walk you through what I'm looking at. I also I'll start off by just referring really quickly to what Lisa ended with like time zones. And as someone that's traded in I've spent time in Asia, spent time in Europe, spent time in America. I would say this, and I've spent time living in all these time zones, and I would say, don't ever try and adjust your time to trading. So, if you're living in America, don't wake up in the middle of the morning, or if you're living in Australia, don't wake up in the middle of the night to trade. Just like live your life in the time zone that you are in, and don't try and adjust yourself to a time zone. So never try and wake up in the middle of the day or in the night. It's not actually sustainable in the long term. And I agree. Of those time zones, Asia is the hardest time zone to trade, but it is possible to make it work. You just have to adjust to like what and when you're trading, of course. But I definitely would not recommend to anybody really wake up in the middle of the night to regularly trade the sessions that are not like your time zone sessions. That's just the first thing I'd say about that. But in terms of the charts that we got going on here, I've been making it very, very, very clear publicly in the group, anywhere that you've seen me posting for the past few months. I've been very much saying, long, bullish, no short trades, remain long. Days on days, on weeks now. I've just been saying no shorts, long and chill. There's nothing bearish. We're going to make new highs. We're going to make new highs. We're going to make new highs. And today we made another new high. So anyone that's been following along with that bias that I've had is sitting very nice profits right now. But what I actually want to start off by saying is I talked about this a little bit on a live stream on the champions, but nevertheless I'm going to mention it again here for the public, and that is, you don't need to be timing absolute lows and absolute highs. A lot of people in crypto love to remind me when I make a mistake or a bad call, because it's once in a blue moon. But nevertheless, there are times when I make mistakes, and I want to talk about the recent move to the upside. And we saw this move from $31,000 down to $25,000. And during this section of the move down, I was short from $30,000, took that all the way down to $29,000, $28,000, $27,000, $26,000, $25,000, and $24,000. I took advantage of all this, and I was bearish from the rejection off of our at the time range high, right? And while we were trading down the low here at $25,000, $26,000, I remained bearish. Why? Because I had a higher term time frame structure, I had my order flow, I had my charts and analysis saying, okay, let's trade with this local trend that is down, and the probabilities right now are for lower prices to come. So I was not ultra bullish down at this local low, but I knew my line in the sand while we were trading back below it was 27,500. So I knew to myself, okay, while we're trading below 27.5, that is bearish for me, and I will look for lower prices. But then I have this dynamic, which in my opinion makes me a very good trader, of saying, okay, if we reclaim that level, probabilities change and my bias must change. And of course we went on, took a while, but at this point in time, we reclaimed what for me was a major level. We reclaimed that resistance into support, and we got then a market structure shift that for me at this moment in time said, okay, now these probabilities have changed. I now believe we're going higher. And since that point, in the middle to end of October, for the past few months now, I've been bullish. But I wanted to start off by there and just say, my bias changed after a sign of strength. So I'm not longing the absolute low of this, but I actually waited for that sign of strength and then changed my bias. Okay. So yes, I missed the bottom of the move here, but you can see from that sign of strength, we have actually had a 35-40% increase in price. And so the same goes when this is, at some point going to change to a bearish trend, right? It's not going to go up forever. Will I time the absolute high of the change of trend? It's possible, it's possible. But it's not a requirement for me to think, I need to time the high if I want to capture the majority of this move. No, because as a successful, profitable trader, you don't need to be getting the absolute low of the move. Let me just hide the rest of this analysis a second. You don't need to get into the absolute low of the move, and you don't need to short, for example, the absolute high of the move. If you had shorted this rejection here after these signs of weakness, you can clearly see here range, loss of the range, backtest, here from here, 11%, 10% move to the downside, right? And here, you didn't need to long the exact low of the moves down here, but if you got in after the sign of strength, which is a very, very similar theory, as you can see, really simply flip that resistance into support, you then have captured all of this current move, which is currently again around 35-40% to the upside. So you can see here you're not going to be crying like, oh my god, I only made 40% profits when I could have made 45% profits. No, who cares about that, right? You don't need to care about it. So the first thing I wanted to say here is don't always be obsessed about timing absolute lows and absolute highs. As long as you can understand probabilities change in this market, and on top of probabilities changing, having your bias change to suit those probabilities, that's a very, very, very important skill that you have to learn if you want to be a successful trader. Right now, with that said, we are in an uptrend, right? So even though we're rejecting, right now we're on a little bit of a pullback, I guarantee some people are, oh, this is really bearish. We just got a really big move to the downside. You have to remember, we are still in a very much an uptrend here, especially locally, even more, not so locally, right? Since the start of the year, it's uptrend, bullish uptrend. So yeah, we are at a resistance and we are having, a time struggling to get through this. But nevertheless, the probabilities right now are higher prices are going to come. Okay, where do those probabilities change? Let's just say, for the sake of education, the high is in right now, and this was the high of the move. Well, we would still say, in hindsight, in a few months' time, we could say, that was the high put in, and from there it was all the way down. But today, could the high have been put in? The answer is yes. But we cannot really have a high probability of that until we've seen some weakness. So right now, this is just crazy strength. Everything is bullish. Everything is signs of strength. So we wouldn't really have a high confirmation that this high is in until we see a sign of weakness, which is going to have to be like a market structure change. And we're going to have to start to see these levels of support flip into resistance. So if we come down here and we flip this into resistance, well, that's where we could then look to capture this move, okay, from all the way from around, let's say 33, 32, we could capture all of this back down to like $20,000. So, that means, unless you shorted when that high comes in, you don't need to short the absolute high, because you could capture a move from 33 to 24 or less. That's a 20% move. So yeah, you're going to miss the top 10%, but then you can get a 20% move to the downside. That's just a thing that I wanted to touch on, because I know a lot of people are obsessed with timing the exact highs and lows. And I probably don't help with that situation, because I do like to time exact highs and lows. But nevertheless, you don't need to do that to make money in this market. Absolutely. But in terms of what my predictions are and what I'm looking at in 2024, I mean, again, one thing that I want to make very clear, and very transparent to you all, is that my predictions and biases are based off of the data and evidence I have in front of me today. And what I mean by that is I am very fluid and responsive to market conditions and evidence and data I have in front of me. So I can make predictions, I can draw lines, I can say this is what price is going to do based off of the data I have with me today. But if I have a dramatic change of data and order flow context tomorrow, my predictions will change based off of that new data. So based off of the data that I have in front of me today, I can say I expect higher prices to come. The market structure is definitely bullish. There is no weakness on this chart. We are coming into major resistance, I do know that. But as it stands thus far, we haven't seen any sort of major rejection. This market structure remains bullish. I know we've got a lot of hype still about the ETFs. So as it stands, yeah, absolutely, this chart does remain with a higher probability of going higher. How much higher is this going to go? Well, that's only time can tell. There's no guarantees in the market. In terms of looking at the probable resistance levels of where this is likely to top out at, what I'm going to do is come over to this Coinbase chart a second, and this is a really good reference level. This is the, we've talked about this quite a lot during our stream, right? These previous range levels, and for me, really simple, right? We reclaimed the previous range value area low here, and you can just see, just take a look at this and say how amazing is technical analysis. Simple value area low of the previous range. Look at that. Rejection, 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 rejection. Each time tested big pullbacks, tested big pullbacks, tested big pullback. Okay, we finally got above that level. So what's the next level? It's been the previous range point of control. That sits just above price action. And this is what I mean. Just because I'm bullish, long, expecting higher, doesn't mean you should long at this absolute moment, because you've got a big resistance right above you. There's a time and a place to long, and it's the pullbacks. And that's why I've been telling my group every single time, long the pullbacks. You're getting these big moves to the downside. That's the time you look for longs. You don't look at the longs while you're consolidating, up at the high. You look for longs when you get those pullbacks, right? So it's for me, any dips are buying. That was just 4 days ago. Everything's a buying opportunity until we hit our target, but only the dip is a buying opportunity. You don't want to buy resistance. You want to wait for the dips. So then when you get these quick dips, you get these big moves to the downside, that's not the time to be scared. That's the time to be, buying. It's as simple as that. And, any buy that you've made over the past few months, you're in profits. So yeah, with that said though, you are coming into a very big resistance. So in terms of what we need for bullish continuation, is we need to flip this into support. And if we flip this into support, that for me though sits at the 40,000 psychological. So yeah, we do have this point of control here, but psychological 40,000 just above it, it's not going to harm to just wait for that to be reclaimed. So really we want to see a reclaim of 40,000, and I honestly foresee $48,000 to $50,000 price target. For me, that's not going to be a surprise in the slightest. Again, big caveat on that is we need to reclaim this point of control. If we reject here, if we cannot get above this level, well, then this is resistance where we can actually look to trade back down to 30,000 minus dollars, right? So if we reclaim the point of control, yeah, there's no reason in the world why I would not foresee $48,000, $50,000. For me, this is a major level on the chart. I've looked at my other exchanges, and all lines up very nicely for a $48,000-$50,000 Bitcoin. But we got to reclaim this major point of control, because if we cannot do that, then we're going to look for another downturn. And again, that downturn can just be a back test of 30K for continuation to the upside. Alternatively, we actually get a reloss of that level, and then that looks like a much bigger move to the downside. Again, we can look at this range type move that we're looking at now. Be very keen around $26,000, but coming back into this range value area high is going to be very weak indeed. So I would say this, as a trader that has made good profits, the tip that I could give you all is don't be a bull, don't be a bear, but be both. And what I mean by that is look and analyze both sides of the market always. Analyze the bullish scenario, analyze the bearish scenario, and make predictions for both. Make a prediction for a bullish scenario, make a prediction for the bearish scenario, but then formulate both those predictions and ideas into one trading plan. So you don't want to be trading a bullish and a bearish prediction. You want to trade one based off of the information that you've taken from a bullish and a bearish idea and scenarios. Formulate that into one trading plan, which is the highest probability. So again, right now the highest probability is higher prices to come, so you're going to generally want to be looking for long trades, right? Long trades up until the next target. For me, this is the next target above us, the previous range point of control. On Bybit, that will be sitting a little bit higher at the next daily that we have. They're just around that 40,000. So you can see it's a big zone, right? You have that previous range point of control on Coinbase. You have the highs on Binance, which the highs didn't get taken out here, by the way. So you can see here, this is the Binance high currently, not taken out. So you got the Coinbase previous range point of control, you got the Binance highs, and just above that, you got psychological $40,000 to the daily. These are all major levels. I've said it here, right? I'm bullish, expecting higher prices to come. I'm in long trades. For the past few months, every dip that I've had, I've bought it. But I actually did take a short trade off of this high. And that's not because I think it's the high, or I think it's an amazing short opportunity, or this is the golden trade. No, it's just because I like to protect myself at major levels. So I had an opportunity of taking a short, and I actually took 2 trades today. One, it resulted in a loss, and maybe I'll take another loss, who knows. But I had this first trade off of a swing failure pattern of the high. I took a short here, and price come down, got my 30-minute close, all looked pretty nice. And then I got stopped out of that short trade as we made a new high. Okay, and this is just part of the game. It's a numbers game. I know swing failure patterns for short trades are not good trades recently. They really are not good trades. Let me take that back. They are good trades, but you have to lock in take profit one as a high percentage quickly, because every short that you have that's a swing failure pattern is resulting in a higher low for higher. Okay, so it's still a numbers game, right? You don't know which one's going to win, you don't know which one's going to lose. For example, here is a swing failure pattern. Look at this high. Here is the swing failure pattern. Yes, you got a pretty nice retracement off of it for higher. If you took this short here off of this swing failure pattern and you didn't take profits, you get stopped out for a loss. If you're a clever trader, you've hit take profit one and you've got yourself into a long trade to reverse it back up. The same here. This short trade for a swing failure pattern, I got stopped out of it. It's a numbers game. It was a good enough trade for me to take. Got stopped out. I couldn't care less. I'm on to the next trade already, right? I actually then took another short, which I have actually took take profit one on, based off of the retest of the value area high. And so for me, it's I'm trying to show you some of these entries. So when I'm taking these short trades, so you can see around 38,500. My next one was around just above this, 38,200. But at the same time, simultaneously, I'm keeping my long trades open, right? So these are ones from this week. I have my long trades on from 36,300 36,500 zone, right? So while I'm taking those shorts, I understand I'm taking this short and I am fully expecting to get stopped out of it. Absolutely I am, because this is a bull trend. This is very bullish market conditions. I want to keep my short short and my longs long. I love that Igor saying. But yeah, and it's exactly what I want to do. I want to keep my shorts for a short period of my time and a long for a long period of time, because it's very much likely we go higher and higher and higher and higher until I see weakness. So that doesn't mean just because I'm very bullish, I'm not going to take shorts. Now, if I see that trade, I've had that plan for a long time of new yearly highs, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that trade. Might get stopped out, might win it. Who knows? It's a numbers game. It's a game of probabilities. But we roll the dice, so to speak, and I walk away with profits or losses. And thankfully, I walk away with more profits than losses. But yeah, for me now, in terms of a higher term time frame prediction, yeah, I do believe Bitcoin's going higher. Do I need to see us reclaim $40,000? Yes, I do need to see that. If we reclaim that, I think we're going to $48,000 to $50,000, $52,000 back from these highs on the end of 2021. Okay, if we reclaim that, then I think we're going to new all-time highs. But I'm not thinking we're going to all-time highs now while we're still below 40,000, previous range point of control levels, right? So it's a level to level in that regards. Some of you may have seen an old Elliott wave count that I had. I actually had an Elliott wave count that predicted the high of $69,000. So if you've been following us for a few years plus, I actually have one of the best short trades in the whole world, with a short trade from $69,000. And I actually had this target months in advance before we hit $69,000. I had a prediction that price is going to go there from help of an Elliott wave count, among a few other things. And that Elliott wave count actually led for a price retrace down to around $10,000 to $15,000. And of course, in the end, we topped or bottomed out at $15,000. That Elliott wave count that predicted $69,000 high to around the $15,000 low had the high coming in of a B wave of around $40,000. So this is the one scenario that's more bearish, and this is part of a bigger. Let me just take off this magnet tool. This is all part of a bigger ABC correction. This is actually a 3 waves down. This is actually a 3 waves up. Okay, in terms of 535. Of course, we're going to have to maybe label this an WXY. It doesn't really matter for me. If it's a 333, of course, we just go WXY. We don't want to spend too much time on this. But whether it's a 535 or whether we're just looking at this as a 333 for a WXY, who really cares? The most important thing is to be aware of that this is the potential correction that actually brings us down to around $8,000 to $10,000, and we're looking for a major B wave to be put in, or an X wave. Again, I don't really care which we label it, as a bigger corrective piece of price action. And again, this is an old prediction that I made years ago. We're not talking nearly 2 years ago. I made a prediction of this coming here to here to here. How do I think this could play out? And I don't want this to go on too long because I already know we're over like 3 hours or something on this stream. But basically the ETF news, right? I think everybody's really hyped for the ETF. Everybody thinks ETF is the most bullish thing in the world. The ETF approved, we're going all-time highs. Just be careful. I see a lot of people say manipulation or X, Y, and Z's happening. Yeah. Don't get involved. Don't try and read into conspiracies, or don't try and read into manipulation, or it's doing this. The market moves because the market moves, and the market moves, and we don't really care why, who, how. We got our technical analysis, we take our trades, we win some trades, we lose some trades. I don't really care why the market moves. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just need to know where I've got my trading plan set for my longs, my shorts, and my trades. And that's all I care about. I don't care about anyone else's opinions, views, or opinions on manipulation. So what I'm trying to say here is, there's this ETF, everyone thinks it's going to go higher. So you have to be prepared for that scenario where if everybody thinks it's going to go higher, well, what happens if it doesn't? and I think this is the scenario where we get a bigger W, X, Y scenario, right? Where we're putting into high before a much bigger move to the downside, and that could be fueled actually off of everyone thinks the ETF means higher, and ends up bringing price lower. I'm of course prepared for a scenario where we go to all-time highs, just as I'm prepared for a scenario which puts in a lower high and a bigger WXY correction. As I mentioned before, I trade with in mind a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. That's why when you look at my Elliott wave counts, you will see I have a bearish Elliott wave count and a bullish Elliott wave count. I'm aware of both scenarios always, but I only trade off of one scenario. Because what you do, as I mentioned before, is you make a bullish plan, you make a bearish plan, and with that data and with that kind of analysis, you formulate it into one trading plan. So you have in mind the opposite scenario, because you don't want to be held to one bias. You don't want to be held psychologically affected by thinking, oh, this has to go up, or has to go down. No, you look at both sides of the market, and with that informed decision or that informed mindset, you then can formulate one trading plan off of what's the highest probability. So again, markets take time to mature, and it takes time to see signs of strength or weakness. Again, did you need to long $15,000? No. If you're getting your longs after the sign of strength around 17,000, hey, happy days. Just like here, did you need to long 24,000, or could you get into the sign of strength after 27,000? Hey, I don't think anyone's cried if they long $27,000, right? So the same here. Could we put in that lower high at $40,000? Yes. But do you need to short $40,000? No. Because if you put in that high at $40,000 and you short at $33,000, well, who's going to cry if they short $33,000 and you drop to $8,000? I don't think anyone's going to cry about that, right? So you need to wait for, again, depends on your trading style. I like to try and time highs and lows. But in terms of like what I would say the majority of people should do is you can actually, as swing traders, as position traders that are trading for the long term, you don't need to try and get in these exact sniper entries. You need to learn the technical analysis. You need to formulate a plan. You need to understand strength and weakness in the market, and then just wait for some confirmation. I think we've said it a lot in this stream that a lot of people sometimes just can't remain patient. They always want something to do, something to happen. And again, I don't really advocate the style of trading where you're taking one trade a year. It's probably not going to work for many people. But it's not really a trader, let's be honest. But in terms of being patient or trading with a trend, you can love me or hate me, but you cannot say that I didn't trade, I haven't traded this trend very well, because as soon as I saw the strength, I have been publicly saying bullish, 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 right? And so with that said, that just means trading with a trend. So look to buy every dip. Every dip you get is a buying opportunity. We are coming into resistance. I do think this is could be a major turning point in the market. Again, even though I'm very bullish, I will still take shorts in this market. I just expect to get stopped out of them. But for me, it's like a hedge. And again, this is a whole another hour-long conversation. But, this is for me a hedge. And yeah, time will see how we progress. I'm probably going to just wrap it up there because, stream's already going on for a long time. Again, if you want to see more from myself, then of course you can really get the majority of all my analysis from the website. But I occasionally post here on YouTube and Twitter or X. But yeah, the vast majority of this stuff is always in the group, right? This is where you get my daily updates of what I'm doing, the reasons why, and all that good stuff. And there's one thing that I actually wanted to say. There we go. Here is an Elliott wave count back from timing $15,000. So you can see this is a prediction, and this actually went pretty much exactly as predicted. Took out this low here. Price followed this line. We took out this low here, and here we are rising towards that 40K. So who can tell you that technical analysis doesn't work? There is a prediction that was made in August. We took the low, got the rally. And there we go. We took the low and got the rally. And by the way, this prediction was made around August time. There are countless people that copied this count after me and try and claim it as their count. But yeah, just remember, a lot of people try and claim my work as theirs. Anyway, that's another topic as well. Anyway, all I'm going to say, I wanted to end with one thing. And yeah, that was, I wanted to say thank you to everybody joining the stream as the guests that we had on. Scott, Jamie, and Lisa, and of course, special thanks to Ash, who really came in this year and helped Chart Champions really turn it around. And big thanks to that as well is, of course, Igor, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but we all know Igor is CC through and through, and everybody loves him. But of course, the new blood of Rivalry and Severin. I had high expectations of them before they become a coach, because I could see their work and see what they were like. But, I truly feel they've exceeded all expectations and, really have hit the ground running. And for me, as like the business owner of Chart Champions, and for this to be, my baby type thing, I don't know how, but for me, this is like my passion and my life's work. And to have them at like my side working here it's just a relief. A few years ago, I'd wake up thinking, oh no, I have to delegate today. It's not going to be the easiest job. But now I can wake up with a team of coaches, and if I'm away, nobody cares, because you have world-class coaches at your side. And like the comment, I was going to say it earlier in the comment where somebody commented, I'm only here for Daniel. When's Daniel talking? If you're a member of Chart Champions now, there's never this comment, because you truly can see for yourself, Igor, Rivalry, and Severin are amazing coaches. They truly are amazing coaches. And with the help of Ash, we found these really good coaches, and they've exceeded expectations. And so I just wanted to say a big thank you to the team, and again, all your support, because I'll spend 2 minutes saying this. For me, in 2022, start of this year, even, the Chart Champions was struggling in terms of, there was a lot of things going on, a lot of drama and all this, but we had to come in this year and turn things around from the ground up. And we put in lots and lots and lots and lots of work to do this, and making really hard decisions. And that could be another interesting podcast of how in a business you need to make hard decisions, which at the time a lot of people might not agree with. But we had a vision of the business. We had a vision of what we need to do to make our service to another level. And you can't have people that are lazy. You can't have people that want to do the bare minimum. You have to have people in your team that are workhorses, that actually want to do the work, not for the paycheck, but they want to be here for, to actually help change other people's lives. Talk about that a lot. I learned so much this year. But yeah, we put in the work, we put in the effort, we've changed our team, we've changed our service. And big thank you to all the team from behind the scenes. And now everybody here watching this video, you made it through 3.5 hours. So that's a congratulations to you. This is probably the longest ever video we've done and we'll ever do. But for me, it's late, and thank you ever so much.
Oh, Severin's back on. There it is. Look, any thanks that go to me, I do have to just pass on to the team at the end of the day. The way I look at it is, all I do is provide and conjure ideas and blueprints, but I don't have the developing capabilities. I'm not multiple versions of myself. The team will make it work at the end of the day. They know who they are, from the devs to the support team to the training assistant team to the coaches, yourself. It's an absolute pleasure. It really is. Yes, it does get tough. It's a very uncharted space. It's just a radical type of platform to have in this day and age, or in any day and age. But it's light play, but it's still, it's still work. There's a yin and a yang to it. And as someone put in the comments of method, you do have to have a bit of that. But I think you have to have that to make trading as well. I just repeat everything Daniel said in terms of, there's a vision. We're doing everything we can to keep building it. And, the path just gets lighter and lighter along the way. We will evolve more next year. We look forward to seeing people at certain events next year. Yes, it was mentioned earlier by Scott, a little Easter egg drop there. There will be some sort of event taking place in Dubai. And for those that can't make it in person, you'll be able to live stream it. It'll be completely available to live stream here on YouTube. It'll be longer than 3 hours, 4 hours. But yeah. In closing thoughts from myself is like, look, I'm read through saying, just give a signal. Look, this is what we're going to be about. Signals don't work. To an extent they can, but if we were to do signals, as I've said before to the team, we wouldn't do signals. We would have a hedge fund or something along those lines, but we're not in it for that. We want to give people that independence and that empowerment for themselves so that they can sustain themselves and their families. And if you are serious about joining, I've seen people thinking about I'm going to be real with you. If trading hasn't worked for you thus far and you want to come back in, don't sign up for champions. Come into contenders. Do it the right way. Don't be in a rush to lose your money by trade. Even come in, learn the strategy, get it put out on paper trades, document it so you can see what you're doing is actually working, and then you stand a chance of trading it live. There is absolutely no rush. And more to the point, this is why we've tailored the Black Friday deals the way we have. We're willing to commit to those who are willing to commit to their long-term trading future. That's all it is. If you come in for a month, you're not going to learn enough. You're going to be in, you're going to be back out. And most likely, a lot of you are going to try and trade before you even know what you're doing, and you're going to get burned and discouraged. We just don't want to waste your time at the end of the day. So if you're willing to give it a shot, here's the deal. Originally, we were going to do these plans just as a one-time thing. But if you lock in the Black Friday deal, be it today up until Monday, as long as your plan remains active, which renews every year, so you'll build, then you will lock in the Black Friday deal for life, as long as your plan remains active. We want to give you the best chance and best support that we can possibly do to help you get to where you should be going as an aspiring trader. But you've got to do it the right way. You've got to commit to learning. If you commit to learning and give us even 50% towards that, we'll always give you 100% from Chart Champions.
Yeah, back up everything you say. And yeah, obviously there's a lot of people that, come and go. But yeah, I think the people that really dedicate themselves, and especially this year, this is the first year we've had consistent people. Every week someone else has become a full-time trader. People are really excelling, and I think maybe it's just a coincidence that maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe it's not. But this year we've had more people becoming successful traders than we've ever seen before. So I would just say put your time and dedication to it. And from us and the team, you're always going to get the best service and best most effort we can give. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, Daniel, you see us out. Been a pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining us today. Honestly, thank you. And I am now back here as well, so I'm just going to be hanging around and be on the charts and the Discord every day once again. So I'm looking forward to that. And it'll be an end of 2024 together. And cheers. Yeah, I always am not very good at ending videos, so I'll just say that. Thank you ever so much. Hope you've enjoyed. And we'll see you over on the website. Again, if you want to get advantage of the Black Friday deals until Monday, you can get make use of that. Just chartchampions.com. So cheers everybody. Thank you. And that's us signing out. Goodbye.